What's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of the Long Run Podcast. This is Adam, and I'm joined by some of my favorite people in the entire world, and we're going to be reviewing, once again, we brought the band back together. We have to always bring the band back together for, you know it, you love it, Cobra Kai Season 4. We're back once again because Cobra Kai just never seems to ever die. Jesus, it just keeps on going, but we're going to be talking about it today. Before we even get into it, though, of course, gotta welcome, you know him, you love him, your favorites. First is Mark, the veteran, the professional, making his way into the content world as Creature Feature. Check the link in the description for that. Returning once again from Spider-Man No Way Home. How are you doing today, man?
I'm doing pretty good, man. I'm excited. I'm ready to talk about Cobra Kai. I got my Eagle Fang throw blanket on.
Oh my god.
I'm set.
Yeah, man. Eagle Fang for life. And of course,
this good ass show.
Oh yeah. After that, we have Andrew, the fan graduate not seen since Mortal Kombat, who's about to make his dreams come true in a couple weeks. How are you feeling today, Andrew?
I am feeling pumped, ready to get this going. It's always good to be on.
Hell yeah, Andrew. Really glad to have you back. Of course, next to him, we have the voice of the people, voice of the best fans in the world in 5 Deadly Venoms, and the biggest Karate Kid fan here, but he tells me that there are some hot takes he has on Cobra Kai Season 4. It is Padromi, not seen since Cobra Kai Season 3. How are you doing today, man?
What's going on? Yeah, I got a matching tattoo on my back for like Hawk, so I'm ready for this.
Oh my god!
Oh no!
Yo, check out his Twitter in the description if you want to see it. And last but certainly not least, it is someone who actually knows what she's talking about and is releasing a video game. What? Not seen since Star Wars Visions. It is Abby, all the way from the West Coast in the All Valley right now.
The All Valley champion. Hello, coming in from Los Angeles. Yes, no, I'm excited to be here.
Broadcasting. Oh yeah, broadcasting live from the All Valley, indeed. So, you already know why we're here. We're here to talk about Cobra Kai. And of course, just like every single review, spoiler warning, we're going to be talking about everything that happened in this season, just like always. And you know, I think it's only fair that we talk a little bit about Season 3. At the end of Season 3, I think all of us were a little hyped. We saw the alliance be made between Johnny and Daniel. It seemed like we're entering a new era for Cobra Kai. I gave it a matinee. Mark seemed to really like last season. He gave it a full price. Andrew gave it a 7 out of 10. Padromi, going a little downhill, he gave it a 6, and Abby gave it a B+. So all of us, though, I remember collectively we agreed on this at the end of the review. This has to be the last season. Like we were just like, I don't know how they're going to do anymore. And boy, were we wrong, because there's definitely going to be another season this time.
The joke's on us.
We've got stories for years.
There's going to be Season 5, that's for
Daniel
sure.
becomes a robot.
And so, right, at the end of Season 4, it was like, okay, they had all decided that they were going to settle everything at the All Valley tournament. And I think it was like whoever wins, they go on, and the losers can't ever teach karate in the Valley again. It was like the crazy ultimatum, right? So here we are. It's Season 4, and we're going into this. And look, I'll be honest, I think that this is a season full of highs and lows, but I think there's a lot of things that you can talk about in terms of hot takes and what you like and what you dislike. So right off the bat, let's talk about the core characters here of Daniel and Johnny. How you feel about them this season?
Who are you doing first?
Let's go with Daniel. Excuse me. Who I know Andrew. And basically every single review, you always say Mr. Miyagi's rolling in his grave. So let me ask you that: is Mr. Miyagi still rolling in his grave, Andrew?
Honestly, I would have to say I don't think he really is. I think he's stuck to his roots for the most part. We'll talk more about the very last episode, but as far as Danny goes, I think he was. I think he would have made Mr. Miyagi proud as far as how this season went. Johnny, I like his character development. It's his is a more slow and progressive character development, but I did like the somewhat short-lived. They had a little bit of agreement and a mutual understanding between him and Danny at the very beginning, Johnny and Danny. So I did like that as well. The season really kind of like brought them both together, and I liked how they were working with each other a little bit at the beginning. Like I said, it was short-lived, but I mean, I enjoyed both of their characters in this season.
Okay, well then there you have it. Andrew's already starting to feel differently. That means there could be a chance that we all start feeling differently about some.
Danny's growing on me.
Listen, if Daniel can grow on Andrew, then certainly anything is possible. But how about the rest of you? How'd you feel about Daniel or Johnny in this season?
I don't know. I've been obviously been a fan of Johnny since season 1. I think as season 4 rolls around, Danny began to get on my nerves a little bit. I think, the Golden Child arc has kind of ran its course and it's starting to rust on me. I think one of the exciting parts of the season 3 was all of the collaboration and partnership that was happening around the end of season 3, which is one of the things that was like the big build up leading into season 4. Obviously I had my anticipations as to what would happen with Miyagi-Do and Eagle Fang, as we're going to discuss probably momentarily, the dumpster fire, which became, and I think a lot of that is due to Danny's inability to just let go of the past. Not that Johnny's, getting off easy on this one, but my God, the pompousness of Danny was really shining in the first episode of the season, and he actually lost some points for me going at the start of the season, and I'm looking forward to kind of exploring from everyone else's.
Don't make me hate him all over again, man. Don't make me hate him all over again.
I'll do it if I gotta do it.
I'm trying my best.
All right, we got both sides of the coin here. Abby and Mark, where do you fall on Daniel specifically?
I used to love Daniel. I feel like if you listen to the previous reviews, I was like, oh, the hero. And now I'm just annoyed. Like, I gotta be honest. Like, yeah.
Welcome to the dark side, Abby.
It took long enough. But, like, no, I'm very pro Johnny. I used to be like, Johnny, like, can you change? And now I'm like, yeah, Johnny can definitely change. Because I think you can see the testament of, I don't want to say Daniel through his parenting, because we had a lot of Anthony this season, and that kind of reflection of the father. Okay, as we talked about, this show is so much about father-son relationships, and also about like parent-child relationships and pseudo-parent, and like I just don't respect Daniel. Sorry.
All right, Mark, where do you fall, man?
Yeah, I think like it's just an unfortunate symptom of like the way that the show is structured, because this deep into its run, it's like they've well established, like, okay, everybody loves Johnny. Like, Johnny is the main character. Johnny is the thing that keeps bringing people back. He gets all the funny moments. He gets all the... He's the focus. And it's like, for Johnny to be pushed, it's like, all right, well, now we need to conceive of ways for Danny to just not run circles around him, because there's no reason on paper why he should ever be bested. It's like, no, he's better at karate, more or less. Like, he's got a better career. He's got more means. So it's like, all right, well, how can we show Johnny getting a leg up on Danny? And it's like, all right, I guess we got to concoct situations for Danny to take the fall in this. And it just leads to him where it's like, when Johnny is immature or acts without thinking, it's endearing because that's his character. Because Danny has to be the voice of reason of the pair, when he does it, it just becomes kind of annoying. I think he works best, not so much when they're doing the same old, like, him and Johnny are butting heads thing, even though that's fun in small doses. Like, I liked their little sparring match on the deck at that one point.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna be real. I'm kind of drifting back to enjoying the LaRusso like family drama. Like, I think one of my favorite little moments from this season was when he and his wife were confronted with Anthony being a little piece of shit, and he was like, "Wait, what? What do you mean my kid's an asshole? I've been teaching karate for the past 4 seasons."
Surprise to nobody. Anthony's a piece of shit. Wow,
Anthony sucks.
Anthony sucks.
His New Jersey cousin or whatever comes in, and she's like, "Yeah, your kid's a little prick. It's because you're a bad parent."
Can we just
So,
agree
love-
that the
I
LaRusso
love
kids
that
are the
shit.
worst? The LaRusso kids are the absolute worst.
Will not
Suck,
take
but
any
I
Samantha
think that could be
slander.
harnessed.
Will not be
All right,
taking
wait, okay.
any
We'll
Samantha
get to
slander.
Samantha. We'll get to Samantha.
We'll get to Samantha and Anthony. I just want to say one thing that
The season
didn't,
does something interesting with Samantha.
one thing I didn't even notice though was that the person who comes in and they talk to about like you're both being kind of shitty parents. That's apparently Ralph Macchio's daughter in like real life. So it kind of
Really?
Wait, what?
yeah,
Damn.
that's Ralph Macchio's daughter in real life, which is pretty
You
wild.
can
Did he
see
have
it in
her
the
when he was
face. You can see it
11?
in the face.
The other crazy fact that I found out too is that the actor who plays Terry Silver is apparently 1 year like younger than Daniel LaRusso. Like Ralph
Yes.
Macchio. It's
Really?
like, what?
Yes.
Excuse
Damn,
me?
that's the 80s for you, man.
Right? It's all that cocaine now. So, so I going back to Daniel. I'll be the tiebreaker here. I'll be honest. I'm kind of sick of Daniel too. Which is I thought I'd never be opposite of how Andrew feels on this, but here we are. Like, I think I'm so sick and tired of the Daniel and Johnny relationship going one step forward then 2 steps back. Like,
Yeah.
I think
That I
during
can agree on. I agree on that.
like the first few episodes when what's it called they were really trying to learn each other's styles. I remember when
It was great.
when
I
Daniel
love
like
that.
sliced the bottle in half and he was like Miyagi, and then like
Amazing
Johnny was like
episode.
swallowed his pride and was like, and he was like, yeah, I'll learn it, and I was like, this is great. Like
That was so much fun.
Yes.
like
You had to go
Yes,
beat some hockey
preach.
players up.
yeah. Yeah.
Yes, that was
I even
so
wanted
good.
More from that. I wanted more. I wanted to see like there was a moment where I was like, Johnny, this is a moment for Johnny to really ask Daniel because he never really knew what was Miyagi like. Like, because remember, Miyagi's the dude who literally saved him. Like, Kreese is
Yeah.
about to ice this.
Kreese is about to
motherfucker at
beat the
end
crap out of
first
Johnny.
movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And so I felt like there was this really good moment of where they could connect and be like, yeah, Miyagi was this really, really cool guy. And it was a fun episode, don't get me wrong, but like I feel like the show never wants to go there sometimes. We're like, we could go here, but let's just do some laughs. Let's go back and do more petty drama. Like
Yeah.
this dude Johnny with Peace and Love. This dude Johnny, this shit turns into a soap opera where he's like, "Oh, I'm so jealous that Miguel is bonding with Daniel. I'm so jealous I can't even get it up when I'm with Miguel's mom." Which with Peace and Love, like I'm not knocking anyone who can't get it up or anything like that, but like just like can you come up with different conflicts for this character? Like, come on, like
It literally
about
is a soap
degrading-
opera.
Johnny to
Degrading
Miguel
a
is
man.
like Kreese to Johnny. It's crazy. There's
No.
a lot of similarities.
Well,
It's
No. Like how
Well,
Kreese is infatuated with like how with Johnny. Johnny has like an infatuation with Miguel, and that's why he went on like a power trip, like jealousy thing with Daniel. But I think their whole feud, that all starting up again. I was really like loving it at the beginning, like what Adam was just saying. But this is their way of stretching the show to another season. And I just wanted it to end at this point. I was getting so annoyed that they were doing that again.
It's like because I believe this is the first season that's like totally 100% made by Netflix, right?
season 3 was the start. This is the second season, 100%.
That was 3 was the start. I thought it was like 3 was already in the bag, and when Netflix had acquired it or something like that.
And we suddenly
I could
see
be-
why the
but
show
it's-
is deteriorating. Wow.
That's the thing. I wouldn't necessarily say it's deteriorating because I like this season for the most part, but I'm definitely seeing the elements of like you could tell they heard everybody saying, "All right, this is getting on a little bit. Where are we going to go from here? Is this just going to be every 2 seasons? There's another tournament every season. Daniel and Johnny have another disagreement." And it's like, no, we've got lots of stories. Like, for example, what if there was a younger boy who joined Cobra Kai?
Oh god.
What if instead of Robbie and Miguel, it was Kenny and Anthony? They've got like
Oh
10
my
seasons worth
gosh.
of conflict in them. And it's
Damn.
like, all right,
You
I
lost
see
me
what
at
you-
Anthony,
I see what
bro.
you're doing.
You lost me at Anthony.
Trying to stop 3 by
Anthony
Cobra
who?
Kai.
Anthony who?
all right. So
This
it seems like
kid
we
needs
definitely
to be abandoned and left behind. Just remove him from the show. I've never
Put him on
felt
it.
more distaste for a character in my life.
Let's
In my
put it- let's
life.
Let's make a new Titanic ship. Put the character on the Titanic and resink the Titanic. How about that?
But just him though.
So we'll talk about Anthony for sure, but I just want to say this now because I do think that this is one of my main criticisms of not only this season but of this show. We are getting to a point in this show where there are way too many characters, and because there are so many characters, you can't give a real arc or a real focus on every single one of them, right?
Yeah.
Like we have what 3 new characters? We have Kenny, we have Anthony, who all get new parts. Plus we have Terry Silver, which is like 3 key characters, and it's like, what about the entire other cast? Like, how are we gonna balance it all? And I think it makes every single
Alicia
like
back.
little thing. Yeah.
Yes.
How can I enjoy this show if I don't know what Stingray is getting up to?
Oh my god! Don't you get me started on Stingray, bro.
Talk about a waste of time. I didn't realize I was watching an anime with film episodes here. Like,
when are they going to kill him? When is he going to get murdered?
all right.
That's where this is going.
All right, so let's go with Anthony first, and then we'll talk about Stingray. Padromi, you look like you had a lot you want to say about Anthony, bro. So just get it all off your chest. Get it all.
We have it on record on the podcast before. I said this character can be written off the show today, and not a single soul would miss this character's existence in the series, and this was never more true than in season 4. Talk about a poor excuse of a like insecure little monster. Also, first off, when did he go from being fat to being super thin in the summer? 1, 2, like how on earth did this kid just completely sabotage and lie all season long and not get caught? Are you kidding? What kind of mastermind low-key nonsense is this right now? Like, this kid is literally a piece of crap. And I got mad. He's spoiled. He's entitled. He's useless. He doesn't want to do karate. He doesn't want to learn karate. Even when he wants to learn karate, he's getting the shortcuts. Even when he's not doing the shortcut, he's still taking a shortcut. Like, this kid is useless.
Bro, he's a dick. He's a dick. Let me just tell you something. He makes Sam look like an angel, and I hate Sam. I hate
Y'all
Sam.
please sleep on my girl Sam, but Anthony is the real devil of the series.
Let me just say, as he's not only the worst character of any show I've ever watched, he is the worst human being on this planet. I cannot stand Anthony.
Give me Game of Thrones Joffrey any day of the week over Anthony. I gotta say, that's how strong I feel.
There was a few times where Anthony was on the episodes, and I just, like how you can skip it by 15 seconds? I was clicking that shit so many times just until I didn't have to see him anymore, bro. I cannot stand Anthony, bro. I cannot stand him. They should have let him go after season 1, bro. He is completely...
I love all those scenes of Johnny just calling him a fat fuck to his face. This 12-year-old, this grown man is like fat fucking fatty.
Skip 3 seasons.
He lost
3 seasons and he's skinny now.
Yeah,
dude. Oh man, he sucks.
It is wild. I think like looking at it from like a writing perspective, right? It's clear that they're trying to make a parallel, right? Kenny is just like Daniel in the first movie, right?
Yeah.
And the son Anthony is just like Johnny was, except it's even worse because Anthony can't even back up his trash talk, man. At least Johnny actually knew how to fight. Anthony is a prick, man. I hate this kid. Like come on.
This is the like for season 1, going all the way back to when we did the season 1 podcast. It was like how season 1 of Cobra Kai felt like someone's pitched for like a soft reboot,
right?
Where it's like, oh, what if the Cobra Kai kid was the Daniel-san? And what if the Miyagi-Do kid was the Johnny Lawrence? Ooh. Now it's literally the same exact premise.
Yeah.
But what if Daniel's kid was a prick? And what if the nice kid became bad? Ooh. And it's
we already knew Daniel's kid was a prick in season 1, though. That's
for years, but...
Wait, say that again, Padromi? Say that again. Say that one more time, Padromi.
Oh, we already knew Daniel's kid was a prick from season 1. I mean, it's not like it's a
Exactly.
surprise.
Yeah, pretty much.
Like, it's
Keep going, Mark, keep going.
ridiculous. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, and like I do kind of like, because there's one Anthony centric moment that I liked, is that through all the pain and all the frustration that this character brought to the show, it built up to that one great little moment where Danny just loses it on him and tells him to be quiet and snaps his fucking iPad. And it's like, you know what? Now this is Daniel in his element. I like this character in this moment because he's learning something. Mm-hmm. And it's that some kids need to be told to shut the fuck up and go to their room. Some kids need to tell them, use patience, wax the deck. Other kids need to be told quiet. Get off the fucking screen, you goddamn Zoomer.
He spent time with Johnny, realized that his kid needed to toughen up, and the only way that was going to happen is by treating him like the piece of crap that he was and snapping his iPad in half. Like, that was it.
I agree, and I do think it was I don't want to call it clever, but it was a way to add to what I think is the theme of the season. So much of the season is about you shouldn't be stuck to one style, right? That both sides have things that they can bring to the table, and so much of the season is about like them realizing, and not just like how Eagle Fang and Miyagi-Do, how you can learn from both, and they can both be incorporated well into a fighting style, which is what MMA is all about. But also, even on the Cobra Kai side, right, we see Terry and John Kreese kind of going back and forth on like what's actually the best way to teach these students, what should they be learning, and things like that. But before we even get there, Abby, do you feel any differently about Anthony, or are you right there with us?
I just have 2 words. iPad kid is what I thought. Like, that's what he is, yeah. And it's a failure. It's a failure of the LaRussos. I think also of just to like pass on Miyagi's teachings. And I think that's the real tragedy, right? Mm-hmm. And he even says that at one point where he's like, I don't remember Mr. Miyagi like Sam does. And I think that's when Dan's like, oh, I really did frick up with like my most important, like, because his mom's important, right? But my most important like masculine figure in my life, my son has no semblance of any of that ideology of what that meant to me and how that like formed my being. And that's kind of, you're like, okay, yikes, you really did frick up. This kid needs to probably go to therapy.
Yeah, I do think there are 2 things that come very well from Anthony's kind of like I don't even call it an arc, just like what he does throughout the season.
Failure,
right? He does say sorry to Kenny, which, you know, props. He took it on the chin and actually like went up and did it out. He said sorry. He got his ass beat by Kenny though, which was great in the sense of like, because Kenny is basically what Daniel would have been if he went with Cobra Kai and was like corrupted by his teachings. That's like really clearly what they're going for. And I do think it's cool that Robbie's like, oh my God, I created a monster sort of thing. Even though I know, Padromi, you think Robbie's a clown, and I'm sure you'll talk about that. I'm sure we'll talk about that. But I like the fact that at the very least, there's cause and effect there. But I'm right there with you guys. I think Anthony and somewhat by extension Kenny is one of the weaker parts of the season, just because I'm not interested in either of those characters. I will say, though, I laughed really hard that when they went to the principal, and the principal's like, you know your son's a bully, right? And they're like, no. They're like, no, there's no way. It's like, no. And then like show them in video. And then like, there's when he opens the locker and all the milk comes out. Even the principal is like, yeah, I don't even know how they got that milk in there.
That's when the show is at its best, in that it's like you called it a soap opera before, Adam, and it's like it absolutely is. It's melodramatic and theatrical as fuck. There's lots of kicking and crying and character drama, but then there's also little tiny human moments of just like, yeah, I don't know how the fuck they got that milk in there, and that really like ties it all together nicely.
Yeah, after I saw the season, the way I describe it is like the drama is from a soap opera, but like the fights and everything, this is just turned into an anime at this point. It's turned into an anime crossed with a soap opera. That's the way I see it. If
you weren't hearing the Dragon Ball Z like waveform sounds when he hopped on that fucking mat, I don't know what to tell you.
Oh my gosh, I felt that in my soul when that
I'm
scene
gonna
was
win this
happening.
whole fucking thing.
Well, we'll definitely have to save the ending, because I think the ending, like the last episodes of the All Valley, are probably one of the strongest parts of this season.
That's the best part.
It's like almost depressing, right? It's almost depressing that we have to once again revert back to the All Valley tournament for the pinnacle of the series, right? Like it always goes back to this damn tournament, right? We can't get anything good out of the series until the tournament happens.
I gotta say, their season finales all the time. Their season finales 1 through 4 always slap.
Slap.
Always.
Yeah.
They did.
Always.
They did.
They
They did.
always end them very strongly.
And that's why
I
we
do-
keep coming back, isn't it?
Yep.
That's the only reason we come back.
They know exactly what to do to be like, well, I guess I gotta watch the next season. They know exactly what they're doing. All right. So we've been talking about Anthony. We talked about Daniel. Let's just address the elephant in the room. Sam is a very controversial character among those on this podcast. I'm going to start with Mark first because Mark says he has a hot take, okay, that none of us can guess. So, Mark, you have the floor, my friend.
So this season did something interesting with Sam in that it did not change her at all, in that she's still very petty and vindictive and whiny and annoying. But I kind of liked it this season, strictly because they played her off of Jenny Lawrence. They played her off of Jenny. They said, you know what? It made me realize the whole reason I find this character annoying is because she's on the goody-good Miyagi-Do side. And so there's that contrast where I go, okay, she's supposed to be, sitting there under the Bodhi tree, and she's supposed to be the paragon of fair play. Meanwhile, she's super petty. She's picking fights. She's doing all this mean shit, and then whining about her comeuppance. And I hate this character. Then they team her up with Johnny, where his advice is like, yeah, be an asshole. And she leans into it, and then it works great. And it's like, oh, that's why. She was Cobra Kai. She was Eagle Fang all along. If you play her off of Johnny, she works extremely well. The same way that Miguel works really well with Danny. Not just in style, but they have really good chemistry.
Mm.
That's all they needed to do to make me sanction Sam's nonsense, was to play her off of somebody who could enable her, rather than a bunch of characters that propped her up as like, no, she's the good guy. When it's like, no, she's just as flawed as everybody else. Lean into it and really, really highlight it, where it's like, no, she is really fucking angry and makes a lot of decisions based off of spite and impulse. But you know what? That's fine, because so does Johnny, and you like Johnny. So now she's gonna go kick some ass.
Padromi,
I like that dynamic, and I hope they play more with that in the coming seasons, because I think they finally cracked the code here.
Oh yeah. I see nothing but smiles and nods from Padromi. So tell me what you're
Look
thinking.
at the Team Sam, baby! I've been here since season 1. Let's go. Like Sam has been Eagle fan since the beginning. She has been Cobra Kai since the beginning, and we couldn't separate her from Miyagi-Do, and she's finally shown her true colors. Like, Sam has never been about the Miyagi-Do teachings. Like, yes, she learned the philosophies. Yes, she knew Miyagi, but Sam needed Eagle fan. She needed Johnny to push her in a way that Danny would never let her be. That moment when she goes and she soars like an eagle, right? Like, that was such a defining moment for Sam in her, like,
moment of the season.
I mean, but it was so instrumental for Sam's development as a fighter, right? Going down to the All Valley, which we'll talk about. I'm not gonna bring it up now, but even up to that moment, right? Like, she had that connection with Danny that had been missing, that has been absent from Johnny, that she's been missing from Danny this entire time. And it was just like, you don't need to be perfect. You just need to go for it. And that mentality, that concept, finally, like, allowed Sam to thrive as a character. Was she still petty? Sure. But you know what? This time, I'm not blaming Sam for the things that went down this time around. No way. That's not on Sam. But it's on her mother.
Dun, dun, dun.
Sheesh. This guy. Okay. I want to dig into that hot take. But before we get into that hot take, Andrew and Abby, are you feeling the same? Has Sam been redeemed for you, or are you still feeling like Sam is still stuck up and you hate this character?
I never hated her. Did you ever hate her?
Me? Oh yeah.
I
Absolutely.
wouldn't say I hated her. I just found her extremely annoying.
I
Given
found her
given
extremely annoying, and I hated her.
given her place in this story.
Yeah. In all honesty, I think I hated her less in the season. I don't know if that's because her brother is a fucking asshole and a dick, and he not only is a terrible character, but might be the worst human being on the planet, just in general. I think he's just probably playing himself in this show. Um, but the whole thing with her, and Tori, just made me so enraged. I felt so bad for Tori in this season.
Mm.
Like I think my I think my attention on Tori was a little bit more focused, and I started feeling more for Tori in this season. Um, and I think I started liking Tori as a character way more. And just the whole thing with her going back and forth with Sam, dude. Sam is an asshole sometimes, and I did not,
Yeah.
just shorten to the point. Sam has not won me over whatsoever. She's still
That
on the bad list.
that's the whole thing for me, is that whole like she's an asshole sometimes. It feels like this is the first time in the series where instead of going I'm not an asshole while being an asshole, now she's like, yeah, I'm going to be an asshole. And that's the only change I needed for me to be like, all right, I'm cool with this character now.
The LaRusso kids suck ass, bro.
They're such little shits.
They are. They are. And you wouldn't expect that. I mean, you could expect rich snobs and maybe a little arrogance, but they're legit. Like, they belong in Cobra Kai. Like, both of them. They're both assholes. I can't stand them.
Abby, how did you feel about Sam?
I mean,
Given
I
everything
always
that we
thought
talked
Sam
about?
was like pretty bland, right? And I wanted to defend. I was
Mhm.
like, oh, I do love like a father daughter strong next generation, but she's just so bland. But I think what you kind of y'all have hit on that I didn't realize, it's the self-awareness. And with Tori, I remember
Yes.
we talked about, right, with like, I think, was it, when did she bring out the freaking knife? Was that the end of season 2? And I was
Yes.
like, Tori's
Yeah.
lost me. She still has
When
lost
she-
me. Yeah.
Yeah,
The switchblade, or the, what was it, like the bracelet
it was
knife?
it was
Yeah.
like it was like a big like Chun-Li bracelet or
Yeah,
something.
I was like, okay, you've lost me. And I still, like, I feel bad for Tori, but I'm still like, you gotta go to, again, you need to go to therapy. You need to go to juvie. You need to get help. Your family needs support. I want your brother to go to a nice, like, foster home. You know what I mean? Like, it just, they need systematic help. With Sam, it's interesting because I think she is just so not self-aware, where it's like, I don't want to say like not classism, but it's just like she's just so wrapped up in herself that she's just so
Yeah.
unlikable, so deeply unlikable. And I agree that Johnny does bring out those parts where he's like, okay, if you're an egotistical kind of bitch, like be that, like be aware of it and own it. And I think, because it's like, again, it's just, you don't want to see duplicit, like that duplicit air, because it's just degrading when someone's like, oh, I'm not bad. And you're like, well, you just did something bad. So if you're going to be like, I did something bad, frick yeah, and you own it, I feel less bad that you did something bad.
Yeah. I'll say this: I'm still not that big a fan of Sam, but there are a couple things that I really liked. One is that I agree with all of you in terms of that she gained that self awareness. Two, I something that I actually wish I saw more this season. I wanted to actually see more of the relationship develop between Sam and Johnny. Right, we get a lot of
Yes.
Daniel and Miguel time, and especially because there's a lot of parallels there. Growing up poor and stuff like that. But like, we don't get enough of that whole Johnny and Sam dynamic, because clearly Sam learns a lot from Johnny, and like there's something there, and I think it's a wasted opportunity that they didn't develop that more. Like, I think one of the most powerful moments in that season is during the All Valley, and I'm sure we'll get more into it later. But when Sam realizes, I have to use Eagle Fang, and like,
Yeah.
and her using Eagle Fang also makes Daniel realize that, like, both styles are needed, sort of thing. I can't just go Miyagi-Do all the time, sort of thing. So I think that works really, really well in that way. And then
They have a fun little dynamic because
Yeah.
Miguel and Johnny have great chemistry, but the Sam and Johnny have great chemistry in a different way, because
Yes.
Miguel, like, his default thing is he's just going to go along with what Johnny says, and like that's why it's so funny, because Johnny's an idiot.
Yeah.
But then you have Sam who has no problem telling him he's an idiot, and it's like this is a fun way to shake up the interactions on this show. We're in the fourth season now. Give us something new.
Mm-hmm.
I will
And it's
say,
like,
The
Yeah.
Sam and Johnny scene where Johnny wanted them to jump on the roof. I think that was one out of all the things that I keep saying why Sam is like my least favorite character. That was like I think that was a pretty cool scene. In all honesty, I thought that was pretty cool what they were doing there.
It was definitely very cool. I was gonna bring that up. I love that scene, and on top of that too, I think it was fucking hilarious. I'm like, yeah, what happens if we fall? And he's like, don't worry, you'll land on like the 2 mattresses at the bottom. Oh yeah,
He's so
dude, like,
sketchy looking.
like no, from five floors up. Yeah, totally.
That totally looked like
thought
my
it was
fault to me. I don't know
silly.
about you guys.
I was expecting it to be like some sort of trick. Like some hijinks were going to happen when one of them actually tried to do it, but no, he literally just wanted them to jump off of a roof.
Yeah, it's like, God, this
like,
idiot, this idiot. No, but I think that was really good, and I'll say this too. Like, even though I haven't been super impressed always with the choreography, I feel like they really stepped up the choreography this season, and some of Sam's fights were really, really good in this season.
I agree.
And so I think she performed very, very well, and there was a lot of meat to them, very well choreographed as well. Like the one that sticks out to me is the prom fight because it was like a dance, but it was also a fight at the same time.
I love that
like, this
fight.
is really good. Yeah, it was really, really good.
I like when the show isn't afraid to get silly.
Mm-hmm.
The whole prom episode is extremely silly, and I'm fine with that. It's very fun.
Prom episode, I still can't believe that Stingray's even a real person. Like I can't believe he's real.
Stingray needs to be on a list. All right.
Stingray belonged where he ended up. I'm just saying. And we can leave it there.
Stingray is where I draw the line for silliness on this show. It's like, but I love that even a character as stupid as Stingray ends up being the linchpin for the big fuck off happening at
He
the
really
end of the
was, yeah.
season. Seriously. Stingray is the most important character in this whole season, and I'm not joking.
It blows my mind the relevance that he had for not needing to be even involved in the whole series.
I could not believe that was a thing that happened at the end, and we'll get there. But in that way, I'm glad you brought this up because we have to talk about what everyone was hyped about for this season: the return of Terry Silver from Karate Kid Part 3. One of the wildest movies you'll ever watch, by the way. It's just bananas, crazy movie. But I actually think that the actor Thomas Ian Griffith, like, first off, this motherfucker is insane. Okay, he might as well be the Green Goblin. Okay, like he is crazy. Okay,
What?
crazy.
He's
unstable.
vegan. What do you mean?
Yeah, totally.
But
I love that. I love how the entire thing. Like, one of the big criticisms of Karate Kid Part 3 is like, this is silly that this billionaire is going this far to just bully some punk kid. This is stupid. This is dumb. And then it's like this whole season is just built around like, all right, we're gonna acknowledge that and de-escalate it and ground it. And then he's gonna get fucking going, and he's gonna get so goddamn crazy, you're not gonna believe it.
He's insane, bro. But the one thing I'll also say, too, I think the actor, Thomas Ian Griffith, he does an amazing job of selling the performance, right?
He kicked ass. He was one of my...
yeah.
He
was great.
Part of this season. He was great. I've
He
never
was
seen Karate Kid
amazing.
Part 3,
Yeah.
and I love Terry Silver. I want to
you
watch
need
it now
to watch
because I fucking
Karate Kid
love
Part
this
3.
dude.
Bro,
You need
Mark-
to see Danny LaRusso bleed his knuckles. You need to see that scene happen in action. That was
Mark,
a
I'll watch it
terrifying
with you.
moment.
I will watch it with you, Mark. It's great. But like I remember specifically there was that one moment where like him and Kreese are going back and forth, and like Kreese is like fall in line, and like dude looked like Terry looks like he's about to cry in front of this. I was like, dude, this guy is acting his ass off right now, and we're in Cobra Kai. Like, this is not a show that's known for like these like really really heart wrenching moments. I was
Emmy
like,
award-winning performances.
I'm like, dude, this guy is really, really putting his all into it. And I think that adds so much to the season. But how did you all feel about Terry Silver and how he really changed the dynamic on this season?
I do have to say, I love the fact that they brought him in. They need something to kind of like give this a fresh season, and throwing him in was awesome. Mine was more short to the point, but I really like that they threw him in.
Yeah, absolutely. Padromi, as someone who has seen Karate Kid Part 3, I'm sure you were excited. how did Terry live up to your expectations?
I thought they did a fantastic job carrying on and tying in the impact that Terry has on Danny and that relationship, right? Like
Mm,
he absolutely was manipulating Danny in Karate Kid 3, and that translated so directly to the intensity and the magnification for Danny's detest towards Cobra Kai. Not only just Cobra Kai, but for Terry himself, which I think was the catalyst to allowing Danny to open up to Eagle Fang. I think
hmm
if not for Terry, the short-lived collaboration between Eagle Fang and Miyagi-Do would have never transpired.
Right.
I was a big fan of Terry. Am I a big fan of how the ending with Terry went down? Not necessarily, but
hmm
I thought everything leading up to that moment, and I think if anything, Terry just shows throughout the entire season, excuse me, how much of a master manipulator he is. And I
Yes.
think it was
Yes.
top class performance by him to show how evil and conniving he really was. And I think if you haven't seen the third Karate Kid film, like you would see that so clear in his doings.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. How about you, Mark or Abby? What did Terry do for you in this season?
I had a blast with this dude. Like, again, like I'm familiar with Karate Kid 3, have never actually sat down and watched it. And I feel like a lot of people had the vibe of like when he was teased at the end of next season, it's like, oh Christ, okay, now we're going into Karate Kid 3. Like, what, season 5 is Hilary Swank gonna show up? Like, are we scraping the bottom of the barrel?
I'm waiting for Jaden Smith to show
And
up at this point, bro.
Oh,
Like,
I wouldn't be mad with
Yikes.
Hilary Swank either. I'm just
Just
saying, Hilary Swank works for me.
a Doctor Strange portal opens and Jaden Smith falls out. But it's like, no, it's just I had such a fucking blast with this character. He's so goddamn fun. He's a great like foil to Kreese,
hmm
and I love how they don't give him to you immediately. I think like
Yeah.
it's like I'm looking over the notes you gave us, Adam, and it's only like episode like 4 or 5 that he has that great little moment in his bathroom where he puts the fucking ponytail up
Yeah, yeah.
like he's putting on Joker makeup or something. And then he comes back and it's like, all right, here he is. It's Terry Silver, everybody. He's fucking crazy. Before that, it's just him being in denial of how much he loves karate. And like that's the best thing about this is every time a new season of this show comes out, every single time I see the same forum posts where it's like, this is just silly. Are we seriously meant to believe that, strip mall karate dojos, like that people care this much about karate, that these senseis could be so crazy and still teach children? And every single time, all their replies are just like, dude, you need to understand. You can buy a lot in a strip mall and have a whole room of people call you sensei. It attracts a type.
That's funny.
Like, apparently it's a thing, and this show is not as outlandish as it may seem. But I fucking love Terry Silver. I love that he's got the keikaku going this whole season. I love that he's just a fucking violent lunatic.
Yeah, he's crazy. He's crazy, bro.
I
That's
was
crazy.
losing my shit in the one episode where it just ends on credits of like classical music playing while he just boots the fuck out of Stingray. Like it's a scene from fucking like Reservoir Dogs or something.
He's wild, man.
It's so great. I love it. He goes to 11 and he's like, but what if we went a little further? He's having the time of his life, and I'm glad that I get to sit here and watch it.
He's crazy, man. I'm telling you, he's Green Goblin vibes for me. But
That's what I was gonna say. Green Goblin, I think of like a Spider-Man villain or even like a Batman villain, where I feel like these villains, right, are different, almost demons that Bruce has to face. I almost feel like Kreese and John are like two different kinds of demons that like Johnny and Danny have to face, right? Like they're different kinds of demons. Like I think Kreese is very like the traditional, like older, masculine, like angry dad vibes, and then I think Terry is like this like kind of, I would say like uncontrollable side, right? Of like just like rage or maybe not madness, but just like like rage you can't control.
Right.
And I think that's kind of fascinating.
There's a method to Kreese. You know what Kreese wants.
Yes.
And you know what, and like you can understand him to a point where it's like he's a lunatic and he's an asshole, but you don't necessarily need to be afraid of him if you're in a public space.
Yes.
Terry Silver is a billionaire. Terry Silver don't give a fuck.
I also I feel like it goes back to D&D alignments. Like again, Kreese is like to me like lawful neutral even, and then Terry's like very
chaotic.
Not chaotic evil, but like I think probably chaotic neutral. Like just like you have no idea what the heck you're getting.
Kreese came out of Nam and he's like, I love winning and I love my boy Johnny Lawrence. I hate everything and everyone else. And then Terry came out of Vietnam and he was like, let's kick some shit.
I'm loving this right now.
Mark, you're one of my favorite people in the world. Now, one thing that we've all been kind of talking about that I definitely want to get your takes. I've already talked about how much I like Terry, but his dynamic with Kreese in this season is so interesting, right? I can think of so many moments, right, where like even Kreese is like, bro, what the fuck did I just unleash? Like I remember there was that one part where like they go to like I think it was like the original Cobra Kai location. And like Terry's all like, look, this is all for you. And look, I lured Johnny here. Let me kick his ass for you. And Kreese is like, bro, what?
Florence and being like, isn't this great? And Kreese is like, no. Uh-oh.
The PTSD is strong with this one, team.
like Johnny's getting his ass kicked, and Kreese is like, what? Like, what is this guy doing, man? Or like even during the All Valley when Terry's like, fight dirty, do it, and then Kreese is like, no, don't do that. Wait a second.
He's literally like a Mortal Kombat. Finish him!
It's a really cool dynamic. So how'd you all feel? Like there was even a couple of flashbacks in there too about their relationship. So what'd you all think? Do you think it added more dimension? Because to me, it almost seems like Kreese took the back seat to Terry in this season.
It's literally like he's like an enhanced version of Kreese. Like Kreese, I don't think Kreese like really expected this to happen. I think he literally like what Mark said before. He like unleashed something and he wasn't prepared for it. Like it was kind of crazy. The last episode was like, holy crap! Like this is like I mean I wanted it to end, but I wanted to end this season, but that last episode I was like, all right, I'm looking forward to the next season now. They're changing it up a little bit. Kreese is no longer the big villain anymore.
I thought the interactions between Kreese and Terry were quite interesting. I think, again, this goes back to Terry being a master manipulator, right? There's so many moments between Terry and Kreese where it seems like Kreese has Terry, right? Like he tells him to fall in line. He's like, shape up, soldier, like, you know, and he's like, almost like, you owe me your life for what happened at Nam. And Terry just seems to, quote unquote, go with it for the entire duration of the series until Terry has had enough. And then Terry is just like, you thought you were in control, but really, I'm the captain now. And it's just like, it just kind of just spirals out of control from there. And, you know, it's so interesting because there was no subtlety in Terry. It was like a light switch. It was just on out of nowhere. And there was no build up for it. It was just on. And then it kind of just proceeds from there. I thought, I wish there was more to it, but it was almost sad to see Kreese in embracing normalcy and consistency in his life for what seems to be the first time in a long time, and taking value in his students versus weaponizing his students, which he had done in the past. And I thought the way that Kreese began to look at his students as people he wants to help improve versus Terry, who saw it the same way as he did in Karate Kid 3, when he started weaponizing his students to like just kick people's asses, and having them have that disconnect for what Cobra Kai truly represents. I thought that was a really impactful moment, but it really was like a light switch for Terry for me. It kind of just came out of nowhere, and then you're kind of like, all right, well, I guess this guy's just a psychopath, and we're just gonna roll with it. But I guess that goes back to the silliness of the series that Mark always alludes to, that makes us enjoy it so much. But yeah, that's kind of my take.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really good that you bring that up too, because Kreese himself goes through a bit of an arc in the season too, kind of like what you just said, right? Kreese for the longest time has always been like, hey, we got to do this, we got to win, show no mercy, all that other stuff. But in this season, we see him actually show restraint. He's the one who says, ceasefire, hey, we're not going to do this, we're not going to do that. I liked what he did in terms of encouraging his students not to go over the line, right? Because, we've seen literally from Karate Kid 1, one of the most famous lines in movie history, sweep the leg, right? But in this case, he was just like, no, do what you feel is right. Go out there and do what you can to win. None of this dirty tactics or anything like that. And there's also that element of Kreese too, and we're starting to see it kind of really break down. It's like Kreese has a very clear soft spot for Johnny for whatever reason, right? But one line that really sticks out to me is something that he said where I saw what Daniel did to Johnny, how he came into my class with a black guy, and I never want anyone to feel like they lost their confidence like that ever again, sort of thing. And kind of like what you said, Mark, there's a method to his madness. It's crazy, it's insane, but in some weird way, Kreese does care, and he is trying to accomplish something. And in some ways, he's even evolving. He knows he can't do the old ways anymore, because just like Johnny and Daniel in a certain way, he's evolving as well. But how did you all see Kreese in this season in that way? No one has any other takes on Kreese? No? Yes?
I think it's like...
Yeah, go for Mark, sorry.
Oh, yeah, no, it's all good. That's the one thing. I wish they expanded a little bit, because it felt a little abrupt how, Mr. Sweep the Leg was suddenly being like, no, fight fair.
Mm.
And it's like, I wish they gave us a little more time with that. Because I can see where it's coming from.
You kind of get the build from a Kreese. You kind of start to see it over time, right? You think about the way he embraces Robbie and allows Robbie to kind of stay in the gym and utilize it and lets Robbie teach. And he opens up a little bit more to that. And then the way he supports Tori, and the way he supports Kenny, and the way he motivates the students. It seemed to have built over the course of the season, to seeing his level of warmth towards his students. And I think there was just true security for Kreese for the first time in his life. And I think he found purpose again.
Yeah. That's something that I like about him, in that despite all of his batshit crazy antics, it's all motivated by a desire to win and a desire to help people. Because that's one of those things that just makes an interesting villain, is somebody who does bad shit for totally altruistic reasons, at least in their mind. Whereas with Terry, you got the other kind of villain where it's he's just fucking crazy, and it's not necessarily deep, but it's very, very entertaining. And I like that kind of dynamic. It's like having your cake and eating it too. We got Kreese, where it's all right, we could care about this character and you could do a lot with him. And then you get Terry, where it's if you just need some coked up lunatic to kick somebody in the face, here you go.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I always like Kreese. I wish we got a little more time with him, because like we said, we're getting to critical character mass at this point, where everybody's got a subplot. Everybody's got cutaways. It's got an A story, a B story, all the way to J at this point.
Right.
As far as plot lines go, it's let's tighten this up a little bit. Let's consolidate some characters, each into a single plot line, and give us a little more focus on some of the players that people are really here to see, like Kreese.
I agree with you on the Kreese thing, Mark. I think Kreese is just I don't really think that he's. I really don't believe he's really a villain as much as like people make him out to be. I think he's just motivated to win, and he will do anything to get to that point. He will literally cross anything to get to that point, and because of that, he becomes a villain. Terry is just batshit crazy. He is a villain. He's literally Kreese on steroids, and the only difference between Kreese and Terry is Kreese in this season he actually starts developing some feelings, and I think his conscience is starting to come through. Like you really saw it the last episode. Terry is like, yeah, Terry just doesn't have any remorse. Terry's just like Cobra Kai. He literally is Cobra Kai.
Right. Abby, anything else you want to add here before we get on with Kreese?
I guess just like the thing I go back to, and I know this show is very like, right, it's campy, it's soap opera-y. I do like, and we talked about this in season 2 with Kreese being a war veteran and like lack of resources. He was out of the veteran shelter. I think there is something to say of like how they both treated their experiences in war, right? And how they came back, and like we saw that Terry became like a vegan.
A
and was like
billionaire.
Phony.
Yeah, and a phony, and he was like not happy at all. And then Kreese was
more
like,
of that.
Yeah,
more Kreese in the valley talking to tech bros.
Keep going, Abby. Sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, Abby.
Oh
yeah.
Sorry, I lost you for a second. My headset popped out because I laughed too hard. No, I just think there are different ways of like dealing with maybe PTSD in a little way, which I think is kind of an interesting take of like being super, super strict, victory, winning Kreese, or just like kind of going to like this vegan extremism. And I feel like here's the thing, Cobra Kai is all about, as a series, I think about extremism and how balance is key, right? It's about that literally centralism is important to us as people, and it makes us more well-balanced human beings. But I think they show kind of the two flip sides of kind of that kind of personality.
Yeah. And for once, I think we get more complexity with Cobra Kai, because for so long, they're just like the big bad. And now we're seeing like this kind of dynamic where like, even on the Cobra Kai side, they're starting to realize that the philosophy isn't all quite there. And I think that adds a lot to the season, even if we have to deal with fucking Anthony. Now, we talked a little bit earlier, so I'm sure Padromi's been waiting to hear this. Tell me about Robbie Padromi. Why is he a clown? What's your hot take here?
Robbie has this ability to be so, and I say this word loosely, intelligent, but also so stupid all at the same time. Like, how can you not put 2 and 2 together with what's happening with Kenny? Like, yeah, yo, my boy from Juvie, he held me down after he kicked my ass, by the way, but then he held me down. And like, as a result of that, I need to now take care of his little brother who's just like getting his ass beat. But then like, I'm not gonna like do the sensible thing, like check in on him and talk to him and guide him in this way that I was supposedly supposed to be guiding him. And it's just like useless. Like every interaction he has with the Cobra Kai students, like suddenly he's teaching Miyagi-Do because he's a master Miyagi-Do instructor. And like, like the interactions between him and Tori was freaking weird. Like, saw that coming a mile away. Like his relationship with Kreese is freaking weird. Like, he just seems to have had no place. Like, Terry drops thousands of dollars at this kid to go to a prom. Yeah. What? A master manipulative plan to have Robbie on Team Cobra Kai to get at Johnny, but newsflash, writers, Robbie's already been with Cobra Kai, and it's already not had an impact on Johnny. Whoa! Come on, I'm so over this character. Give me Anthony. I said it.
Oh my god!
No, Miguel. Let's all go back to Miguel.
No, disagree.
I'm kidding. I did it for the memes, y'all. I did it for the memes. Anyone but Anthony.
All right, we're putting that as the first clip of this podcast. Is Padromi
No
saying that he
memes for
wants
Anthony. No memes for Anthony.
Robbie was definitely an interesting part of this season. Abby, I know you've been pretty critical of Robbie in the past as well.
Oh yeah.
How did you feel about him?
He's
this
just
season?
so obnoxious. Like it's so funny. And again, I started out where I was like, oh, I want to like him. He's had a hard life, and now I'm like, again, my sympathy grows thin. It grows thin. Just the choices don't make logical sense. And right, I think try to think of objectives and what characters want, and it doesn't. It just doesn't make it doesn't. The logic doesn't add up, and there's so many opportunities given for change. And I guess we're going to talk about the finale later. And the finale did, I think, win back like a smidge of my empathy, but like not enough to like redeem his character.
Yeah.
What do you think, Andrew?
Once again, short and to the point. I think Robbie has a lot of issues. Like what Padromi was saying, but I think he's not a he's kind of like a character you don't really want to give a chance because he's kind of annoying, and different with Sam because Sam is just unlikable in my opinion. I want to be able to like Robbie. I really want to like Robbie, but he makes it so damn difficult. I started feeling for him at the last episode too. Like, I think that's when I think you know what I really think he will have a different direction in the next season. But the whole chemistry with him and Kenny, like, damn, dude, just like mentor him in a good way. Like he's getting bullied. Don't make Kenny a bully too. Like you're really fucking him up too now. Kenny's gonna be a mess in the next season, and I really like Kenny in this season.
Yeah, he definitely didn't mentor Kenny well. Kenny turns into like a terrorist at the end of this. Like this dude is like straight up like trying to murder people in some ways.
I think he needs to go see a psychologist. In all honesty, or he needs to talk to somebody. He needs to be able to get his feeling. He's got a lot of built up frustrations and life stuff with him and his dad and. Like the whole him and Miguel thing. Like he's just he needs to talk to somebody. He's got too many emotions for one person.
I feel like this is like the fifth character that we said like they need help. They should see someone.
Cobra Kai goes to therapy. I feel like that's the new season special one-off. Netflix special.
No, here's what happens. They're like, all right, clearly we all have some issues. Let's all go to therapy. And they step into the waiting room, and there's some Miyagi-Dos there, and they go, what are you guys doing here? And then they start fighting in the waiting room of the therapist, and that's the whole season.
Oh, my God.
And I'm all pro therapy, and, some people do therapy in a way where it's more physical, that like if they do karate or the gym, but it's clearly not working for Robbie. He needs to go talk to somebody.
Yeah. Mark, did you feel like they found something good for Robbie here, or do you agree with everyone else that he's kind of just hanging and not the best at the moment?
I never really dug Robbie. I understand his utility to the overall story, but he's always just kind of been there. I'm cautiously optimistic for next season because we finally get to see him actually have to spend some time with Johnny, and I think that's when the character really works.
Right.
I'm excited for Johnny and Robbie's Mexican adventure. But yeah, no, it's just like whenever I think of Robbie, all I could think of is in Spider-Man 3 when James Franco like gets his memory back and he's acting really weird and like smug.
Yeah.
That's just what floats in my brain whenever I think of like, oh, what did Robbie get up to this season? And I just think of James Franco like winking at Tobey Maguire while eating pie. It's just he does nothing for me. He's I don't think the guy is a particularly good actor. He's like he nails the physicality for the role, but I don't think he really sells the stuff that he has to for this kind of character.
Yeah, yeah.
He's just sort of there. You know, at least I haven't been a fan of Sam, but at least I feel something towards that character.
Mm-hmm.
Robbie is like, oh, here's Robbie again. I think it's I think it's interesting that they utilized him in how he was utilized in Cobra Kai, like as an antagonist, where it's like, okay, yeah, he's gonna show them all of everything in Danny's playbook. You know, he's gonna mentor this kid. Just all the Shin Robbie stuff this season, I think, was pretty cool and had some potential.
I can't believe they cut off the Hawk's mohawk, bro.
Yeah, that was pretty good. Robbie is at his best either when he's interacting with Johnny or when he's embracing being a total piece of shit. Those are the two Robbie modes that he's on my radar at all. Otherwise, it's like, oh, it's character again.
Oh man, I was
Did we
so
just bring
pissed.
up
Getting
the
back to
MVP of the
somebody I
entire
like.
series just now? What was that? MVP of the entire series, Hawk. Yes,
Dude,
I can
Hawk-
still
the Hawk-
remember Mark's words from the season 1 review about Hawk. Like, Mark has been Team Hawk from like day one, and
Yo,
Mark,
I'm
I
Team
love
Hawk,
Hawk.
dude. I'm with Mark on that. Hawk is awesome, bro.
how much were you just like going nuts for Hawk this season, bro? Like, I was eating that up.
Yeah,
Hawk is
dude.
100% the Vegeta of this show. Like, I was waiting for Adam to start drinking once I said that.
You know what? I agree
that
with
season
you.
finale. I was waiting for him to grow the mohawk back, but it's blonde now. Like, this dude has an energy about him. He's fucking great. I don't know if I'd call him my favorite character, but he's by far one of the best characters on the show. He leaves
He's
such a
easily
fucking
my
impression.
favorite. Easily my
He
favorite.
He works as a villain. He works as a protagonist.
Dude,
He
he's
works
just got
as a reluctant
best.
antagonist.
He's got the best development. And I don't know if it's just the acting alone, but I literally love like his chemistry with everybody, even whether he's good
Dimitri.
or whether he's bad. His chemistry is amazing with everyone he's around all the
And I
time.
I kind of rolled my eyes last season where it's like, oh, okay, now we're going to try and redeem Hawk, who's been like the biggest piece of shit this entire show. And it's like, no, his redemption arc is really good. I think
It wasn't easy for him.
Yeah.
It's a hilariously like down to earth and real thing of this kid who used to be a loser being like, oh man, I'm in high school and I built my personality around my hairdo. What do I do now? And it's like, yeah, that sounds like the kind of problem that like a 16-year-old would have. And the resolution to it is my favorite moment in this entire season.
Tell him, Mark. Tell him what it is.
Just the simple moment of him having a crisis of faith, mirroring the biblical tale of Samson before him. He loses his hair, he loses his strength. And then out comes Moon, who is a character that I honestly really enjoy. I hope Moon gets more play. She's a delight whenever she shows up, just because she's the only character in this whole show who has no beef with anybody, and nobody has any beef with her. And it's like, all right, we're starting to get the mojo back, and then those immortal words, "I'm the guy who's gonna win this whole fucking thing." Hop onto the mat.
That was so hype.
Like props to Harvey Buckets or whatever he was on Nickelodeon or whatever. This kid is great.
You know he was bricked up during that kiss scene, bro.
Oh my god, bro, chill. No, I like Hawk a lot. He definitely ate that humble pie, at the end of the last season. Your boy definitely was like, first off, I still can't believe that the season finale, like last season, where the dude got thrown through the window. I was like,
Yeah,
right? Like, oh, I didn't know you have a cat. Like, gets thrown through. Like, bro, sorry. But anyway, I like Hawk a lot in this season. Mark is absolutely right. My man literally went Super Saiyan during this during this All Valley tournament. But I do like the arc that he goes through. I like how it's earned, right? Like, he's the one who proposes the idea of them building something together, which is how you build relationships.
Yeah.
By the way, you have to do stuff together. That's how you build that camaraderie.
He's a very proactive character.
Yeah,
and that's just like if you're looking to write a character that people will gravitate towards, that's a big first step is have them do things.
See, Mark actually went to school for this stuff. He's someone who actually knows what he's talking about.
Hawk is always doing things.
The other thing too is like, even though Dimitri gets a little bit less play here, even though your boy like just clearly is happy with his relationship. My God,
Yo, Dimitri's killing the game.
Funny.
What was that, Padromi?
I was saying Dimitri's killing the game. I didn't mean to cut you off, but I got some thoughts on Dimitri too, man.
Yeah, go ahead.
Because like I felt like Dimitri had some serious growth. He had to be the number one guy for Miyagi-Do, and the way he steps up to the plate for that responsibility was pretty damn like badass. Like I didn't know Dimitri had it in him. I don't think he knew he had it in him, but he went out there. He tried. He didn't think he was gonna be great. He just went and he just tried. And he did a pretty exceptional job overall, all things considered. Like, what was it, semis? Like, yo, go Dimitri, boy. Like, he was scoring points. He was doing the thing. Like, he, throughout the entire season, appeared much stronger without having to appear stronger, if you will. It just felt like a true growth, I felt like, for Dimitri this season. I was a big fan of what happened with him and how he kind of helped Hawk.
Yes.
He was kind of like the catalyst for Hawk to kind of just springboard into fruition, which was really, really cool. Like bringing him back to that sense of normalcy out of his like 16-year-old crisis.
Yeah, that's the one thing I really wanted to say is that Dimitri was a true bro in this season. Like when your boy is down, he's really, really down. Dimitri went out of his way. He even showed him like, hey, bro, we go way back. The embarrassing videos, like this boy, you could tell how much he cares about Hawk. Like beyond the whole fact that, you know, he was making out in front of his boy at the prom. It's like, man, like have some respect, you know, like don't do this in front of him. Come on, man.
Here's a question for the room. How do we feel about the Dimitri romance with what's her face, Regina George over there?
I'm here for it.
Because I'm gonna tell you, I don't know if there's a part of this show that I more begrudgingly like than that element. Where whenever those two are on screen, I'm rolling my eyes, but also smiling against my will.
I'm here for all of it.
Shit's
Give
so
Dimitri
stupid,
everything.
but it's funny.
I'm all for it as well. I'm with Jeremy on that one.
How about you, Abby?
It's so silly.
Are you for it too, Abby?
It's a fantasy. The show's a fantasy.
Well,
the nerd in me is celebrating, cheering very loudly and very proudly.
well, Abby, how do you feel about Hawk this season? Did you get the Vegeta vibes, or
Do
do you
y'all
have a different take?
remember? Okay, definitely Vegeta vibes. Very Dragon Ball Z at the end there. Very anime. No, you're right that it's like a soap opera with anime fights. I think that is
For
a great
real.
tagline for this show now. Hawk, I think y'all remember. Was not a fan in season 1. I thought he was a bully. I definitely, but like you said, his change was earned, and by the end of the season, I was like very much so rooting for him. But I think what won me over, like you talked about those like crappy YouTube videos that he and Dimitri like used to make in middle school. Like it was the sweet moments after he'd had part of his identity taken away, where he just came to himself, like terms with his identity now, and how did he want to be in the future, right? And you're right, he's productive. He was the one that brought Johnny and Danny together. I would say the most, maybe more than even Miguel, of like, we have to work together, and like that extending of a olive branch, right? And so that shows real productive growth and change and agency. And he's also kind of quirky, and I admire that. And I think something you brought up with Demetrius, which I thought was interesting, because he was like he had to be the number one Miyagi-Do dude, and I think there's a fascinating thing with tropes, right? When you have the side character or the nerd or the underdog who has to become the hero or the protagonist in that moment. And I think that's really fascinating that this show does quite often, where it's like, all right, this is our trope. You know this trope. You know this character. Now it's going to be this trope. And you're like, how does that operate?
There's a lot of playing with expectations, certainly, in this season, and I'm glad you pointed that out. The only thing I'll say about Hawk, The one tiny thing, I know you had mentioned Moon. I'm really not a big fan of like, oh, he gets it from the girl and then like he powers up sort of thing. Like I
It's
get
well
it,
lame.
it's a trope. I get it, it's a trope. I get it. He really liked this girl, and half the season was about him pining over this girl. I get it, but like, I'm a little. I would have loved it if he got the power up because Dimitri gave him the pep talk. It was like,
Aw.
bro,
Mood.
you
That
could
would've
do
been
this,
nice.
sort of
Mood.
thing.
I like the tropiness of it. I like how I get where you're coming from, and
Yeah.
to a point I agree. But I also like how like unapologetically like old school tropey that
Mhm.
whole setup was.
It was like a go get him tiger with MJ and Spider-Man. It was awesome.
It was a Rocky moment.
Yeah, I dug it. I liked it.
Yeah. So Hawk, I think we all love him. But I think like one thing that I love that Abby pointed out is that he's the one who kind of brings Eagle Fang and Miyagi Do together in a little bit in that way, because you can't just go with one style, and we've been talking about that as a theme for this season. Even Robbie, I think one of the good things about him in this season is that he also starts to see through all the bullshit. He's like, it doesn't even matter at this point, like which side you're on. Like, all we do is like create destruction, sort of thing, in a certain way. And to a certain extent, another character that also sees that is Tori, right? She ends up winning, which is a great fight and great for her, sort of thing. But she sees at the end, right, that Terry had bribed all the judges and all whatnot. And for her, she's like, she's starting to see through all the bullshit too. But she does get a lot of development. And surprisingly, a lot of screen time with Amanda LaRusso, Daniel's wife. And there starts to be a lot of parallels. So how'd you all feel about Tori? I know in the past we've gone like back and forth about how we feel about Tori, but how'd you think about her development this season? I think they definitely decided to put a lot of focus on her.
They stepped it up a lot. I have a lot more compassion to Tori in this season. I started feeling bad, especially with the Mrs. LaRusso. What's her name?
Amanda.
Yeah, Amanda only saw her as the villain because her daughter got really hurt from her and Tori fighting. But then once she saw like the little feud and like how her daughter Sam is kind of a dick, she started having more emotions towards Tori. And I thought that little chemistry between them two was nice. You never really see them together, and you only got to see them this time. And you started feeling a little bit more bad for Tori because, like, she's not as bad as people make her out to be. She's just, like, she has a messed up life, and she takes it out on people because she has a lot of she's way more likable out of all the villains as far as, like, talking about Robbie and talking about like Kreese or anything like that. She's a lot more likable of a person.
Oh yeah. No, I definitely agree. If you had to rank the villains, like she probably, even like the villains, the antagonists, she would probably be my top antagonist just because of how well rounded she is, or just how deep her backstory is.
What stuck out to you this season for her, Abby?
The sushi scene, or like the restaurant scene, was so uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh god. And I think that's what we talked about Amanda, where it's like, because she gives this kind of which I honestly don't think was needed. She was like, I smashed in my old teacher's like car windows, and I was like, huh? And like that was not needed. That was extraneous. Like, it didn't add anything. It was like, you can just be a woman in a privileged position. You're a rich white lady. You see this little girl who is getting fricked over by life and you want to help. That is a human instinct. You don't need to have some epic backstory to want to help someone else.
Right.
And it just was very awkward. Like, Amanda was just so strange, and I guess that's like appropriate because like she doesn't know how to operate in that kind of weird power dynamic, especially when you have your child's like physical safety. That's also, I don't know, it's a very weird relationship, but I definitely felt for Tori. I think the restaurant scene stuck out, and then the ending scene. She did it. I don't know who the actress is, but like I felt her like she did this like little catch breath almost when she thought she hurt Sam. Spoiler alert in the finale. And she like was so worried that like I was believed her. I was like, that's not like she's truthful. Like, she doesn't want to hurt her at this point.
Actress is Peyton List, by the way.
Peyton List, yeah.
But you're starting to see that she's not all that bad. She just has a little bit of revenge towards, Sam. But other than that, like, she's not a bad person. She just has a bad life. She has a rough life.
Yeah.
And
she has a lot of anger. And she has every right to be angry.
Yes.
100%. Completely agree.
Yeah. The scene that really sticks out to me with Tori is when her aunt like goes to confront her at like
Ugh.
outside the Cobra Kai
Yeah.
dojo. I was like, this is some heavy stuff for Cobra Kai guys. Like an aunt coming to you and being like, "Hey, where's your mom's disability bill so I could get the money?" It's like this is some heavy stuff right now.
Dude,
Like,
it's so sad. It's
yeah,
so sad.
this poor girl sort of thing. Like she's really going through it.
These kids have it so rough in this show, bro.
Yeah.
Literally.
Well,
Literally.
not all of them. Anthony and Sam have a great life.
All these guys have been bullied at least once, or they have terrible parents, or they have parents that walk out of them. Every single one of these kids.
Mhm.
And it's just so sad seeing it. Like,
Yeah.
Tori was like, oh my gosh. I think I feel for Tori out of all of the other ones, in all honesty.
I do. You could tell, and I'm glad they put that kind of focus on her. But Mark or Padromi, anything you want to say about Tori?
Yeah, no, I like. I feel like they gave her some interesting stuff this season because a lot of it was getting kind of old. Where it's like, okay, she and Sam are gonna get into a disagreement, and they're gonna be petty and come to blows, and it's like that's one thing that I appreciate about this season is there's a lot of interesting like, okay, but what if we stuck this character with this character?
Mm-hmm.
And you get like Miguel and Daniel, you get Sam and Johnny, and you get Tori and Amanda a lot, which I really liked their little back and forth scenes, and I liked that. Like, do we have like a scoreboard, like a counter for time that Amanda tries to be proactive and do something right, and it blows up in her face almost immediately?
At least 5 times. Like,
Yeah,
at
at
least.
least.
Because I feel like that's a theme for this show. But I like that it almost starts to work at a certain point where it's like, nah, you're gonna go to therapy and like I'll help you out and like we'll figure this out. Even though like I should not be a fan of you, you really fucked up my daughter. Now I have better understanding of your situation, and I'm trying to do my part here.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, all right, this is interesting. Now we're setting up the Tori redemption arc for the next season.
Yeah,
and it's like you get a little something to do.
Yeah, I'm glad that she got the work that she did. How about you, Padromi? Oh, sorry, Mark. Go ahead.
No, I'm saying she gets to be more than just the crazy girl.
Yeah.
She gets some stuff this season, and it's appreciated.
She gets to be more than evil Sam, the evil counterpart to Sam, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Padromi, you look like you got some thoughts on this.
I do. If you recall from my comments from the first season review, I'm a massive Amanda LaRusso fan. She's been my favorite LaRusso since day one, right? She's been the level-headed one. She's been the understanding one. She's been the smart one. She disappointed me this season a lot.
Really? Okay.
For her behaviors at the start of the season, really just messing up Tori's life in really negative ways, right? Like the impact to her job, her lifestyle, like taking on the whole privileged white woman, like that just annoyed the hell out of me. Right? Like I just getting so mad. Like, oh, what a typical Karen you are all of a sudden, Amanda, where you go out, get this girl fired from her job that she needs. You realize the position you've now put her in, and you're like, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm going to now do everything I can to help you out. And suddenly we're all Amanda's back in all of our favors again. No, she don't get off that easy. Like that's not how this works. I don't care that you're now utilizing your money and leveraging your money to help Tori out. Like you put her in that position. Like how dare you? Like that's awful. She wouldn't have needed your help if you don't go out there and cost her a job. Granted, the whole situation that with the referral and helping her get back to school and probably doesn't happen without Amanda.
Right.
But that's again back to more privileged white women things, like rich white women things, and like it's just like it's frustrating. It was really frustrating to watch, and oftentimes Amanda was the catalyst, if you will, for most of the situations that went down between Sam and Tori throughout the season, except for obviously prom. But she was a big reason for a lot of that additional frustration and anger that Tori was experiencing until, of course, Tori is the one who has to bite the bullet and ask for help, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's very clear that Tori is a very mature individual because of her life circumstances, and it takes a really mature individual to ask for help.
Right.
I'm just very happy that Amanda never made Tori feel bad for asking for that help, which
Yes, I agree.
was really, really a nod to the sensibility that Amanda has brought to the series since season 1. Where I don't forgive Amanda for what she did to Tori, I value that wise, smart mom who's always happens to be right approach that she has, and I think she's doing right by Tori, which is great. I think Tori, I think y'all have said it at length already, she's had such a great redemption arc. I think her winning was exactly what needed to happen. As much as I was rooting for Sam, because that was a fantastic fight.
Great fight.
And I was actually rooting for Sam. I wanted Tori to win at first, but as the fight grew, and Sam was like, I need to bring Eagle Fang into this, and then like that moment between her and Johnny and then her and Danny, like I was just like, all right, maybe I do want Sam to win this one. But that fight, I didn't care who won. I was gonna be thrilled with whoever the winner ended up being. And I think seeing what this meant to Tori, given all the things happening in her life, it was really great to see her hand get raised at the end there, and doing it in a fair way.
Yes,
which was, I think, even more important. Like, finally, like the true underdog came out on top. But big fan of Tori this season.
Yeah,
a little disappointed in Amanda.
And you can't always win every single season, and that includes Amanda. As much as we've all sung her praises, sort of thing, and how she's one of the only characters to be like, guys, this is fucking dumb, sort of thing. That being said, though, we talked about the Tori and her dynamic with Amanda, but another big focus that they decided to put on this season is the relationship with Robbie. How'd you all feel about that? To me, it was like, it almost felt like it was like they're the top two at Cobra Kai and they're teenagers, so they're gonna be like attracted to each other. But I was kind of like,
everyone's dating everybody. I mean, come on, like, don't do this.
Hard
don't
pass.
Do this. Like,
hard pass.
They don't need another relationship. Nobody needs another relationship. Like, I'm not even really crazy about Sam and Miguel together, to be honest with you. Let's just get this next season over with. Let's just end it. Like, this could be over with 1 2-hour movie for the next season. They don't even need to do 10 episodes. Just end it with a 2-hour movie, and then you're done.
We'll get to what we want from season 5 at the end. Is what I'll say. But I'm kind of agreeing in that the relationship didn't do too much for me outside of the great prom fight scene. That was great, but otherwise it's kind of unless there is anyone that feels like it added anything to the season at all.
The prom scene is really all that matters.
Yeah,
that's the only good part about Tori and Robbie was the prom scene.
Yeah, it was so campy.
They also looked fantastic, by the way, in comparison. Like, those two slayed it.
I was just going to say,
y'all dressed up and go out with the fellows.
Listen, if a billionaire came to me and was like, here's a couple $1,000 for prom, I'd be like, hey, man, like, okay, time to get to work, you know what I'm saying? So they definitely spent the money well. So one other character that we haven't touched on that obviously plays a large part before we get to like kind of the ending and kind of wrapping everything up, but Miguel has been Miguel has been really the core driver of this series, right? In a lot of ways, right? In the first season, it was all about that dynamic between Miguel as well as Johnny, right? And him really trying to find confidence in himself, right? And to believe in himself. Then he went through his whole spinal cord injury that was healed by the power of rock and roll, not physical therapy. Because it's again, this is an anime. It's an anime.
That's the scene I used to sell one of my coworkers on starting Cobra Kai. Was specifically the scene of Miguel in the wheelchair and Johnny putting a Playboy magazine on a fishing pole. I was like that. I was like, all right, I know you don't really care about Karate Kid, but does this sound like something you'd be into?
It only happens in like the Batman movies where Bruce Wayne's hanging on a rope and he gets his back like punched 50 times just so he
Yeah.
can, that just heals a spine when you punch the crap out of someone's spine.
Totally, man. Yeah, totally. So Miguel in this season, he goes through, like we talked about before, he has a dynamic with Daniel a little bit, but he also kind of goes back and forth about where he wants to be in terms of learning both styles. How'd y'all feel about him, Abby? It seems like I heard this. I heard a little bit of you in the beginning when I mentioned Miguel. So why don't you take it away?
I love him. He's always been my favorite character. I think I said that in the first review. I said that, like, he has been my golden boy from the beginning. I think maybe all of us hopefully feel that. I just think he's so sweet, and I think his character, I think, represents the best of Miyagi-Do and Cobra Kai, Eagle Fang. He's our protagonist. He's the next gen protagonist that we're supposed to identify with, and I do. And I love his relationship with his mother. I love he's also his grandmother. And it's funny. He's empathetic.
Weed granny.
Like, it's funny, and you feel for him. And I feel like they really downgraded him in this season in time on screen.
Yeah.
I feel like he was not on camera, like, I would say, like 1/4 as much as some of the other.
You are so right, and I'm just realizing that right now. Actually,
He also
Right?
gave
And-
weight. Where did that
And it
come
made
I
from?
me
wonder if
sad.
it's I wonder if it's because his guy is off doing Blue Beetle.
It could be, or it's like what we said before. There are way
Wait,
too many
what?
characters.
Yeah, no, he's gonna be Jaime.
oh
Reyes.
my gosh, that's gonna be sick, dude.
I'm
That
pretty
is
sure
gonna
at
be
least.
so
I'm
cool.
like 90% sure he's gonna be the Blue Beetle.
Yeah,
Damn, that is gonna be so good.
It does go back to what we've all said, though, that there are just way too many characters in this
Yeah.
show at this point.
Yeah.
Like, we didn't even talk about the two new women that are added to Miyagi-Do. No, Cobra Kai.
Oh
and Eagle Fang.
yeah,
Like, there's
I completely forgot about those.
There's too many people.
yeah. What's her name? One of them is, I think, Piper, like the gymnast or whatever, right?
Yes,
and
Moon's
then-
ex-girlfriend.
Moon's ex.
Yes. And Moon's ex-girlfriend, and then there's the one that joins Eagle Fang, who
I like that one. She's fun.
She's
she
fun.
becomes like an expert in like a week, and like it's just like what?
So bad.
Whatever.
She's just an overachieving like nerd, but then she applies her being a nerd to karate and starts kicking the shit out of people.
There's like just too many characters, and I think that shows in how Miguel was kind of de-emphasized.
I agree, and that's
Yeah.
solid. Miguel's my favorite character, and it made me sad with how downgraded he was this season. And
We gotta get back to basics a little.
yeah, we need to get back to
Yeah.
basics. And I do think, spoiler alert, for him trying to find his father, though, makes so much sense. Because
Yeah.
Danny and Johnny have literally, I said John, very formal. Johnny have literally used him as I don't want to say bargaining chip for these
A
past like 4 seasons, but
Surrogate son.
yeah, he's been their surrogate son. I feel like
Yeah.
eventually that was like him saying like, okay, enough. I'm gonna go find my biological father, because y'all are tiring, and you're also like, that's like not appropriate. Like, stop. Like,
Also,
That-
yeah.
that
Also,
scene
both of
where
you have your
Jerry called
own
him
sons.
Robbie.
Yeah.
Because it
That
wasn't
scene
about
was
Miguel
that was,
though. It was about
rough.
beating Cobra Kai. Like that whole interaction between Miguel and Johnny, where Johnny was basically like demanding Miguel get back out there when Miguel wasn't feeling it. Like that
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
so heartbreaking. In that
That shit
moment,
was
you know,
rough.
it was really
hard to
really
watch.
sad to see. Like I was so disappointed in Johnny, and his
Yeah, me
reaction
too.
to Miguel, and then the level of concern that Johnny gave to Robbie by proxy, like just to really make Miguel kind of like want to bounce. Like that was just such a sad thing.
I'll be honest. It felt kind of regressive for Johnny's character too. Like Johnny, I
Yeah.
thought had gotten to a point where like he realizes it should not be all about winning, right? Especially because of what happened to him, sort of thing. And like, and I think like even in the first season that was something I brought up. But something before we get to there, Mark, I know you had brought up like that one scene where Miguel's bringing Johnny in after he gets his ass beat by Terry.
Yeah.
So go ahead. What were you going to say about that?
Oh yeah, no, just that whole scene where he like drunkenly calls him Robbie.
Yeah.
It's like that was my like
So
roughest
sad.
moment of the season
it was so sad.
Yeah.
winner. It's like that fucking sucks, dude.
You
Broke
can
my
see
heart.
Come
how
so
much it hurt
far.
him. Yeah, it really did hurt him.
Yeah.
But it's I agree though with what Abby said that it makes so much sense for him to do that. Also, I kind of hated the whole subplot. I don't know how you all felt about like Johnny and like Carmen, Miguel's mom. Like, oh, should we tell him or should we? I was like, I don't care. Like,
Yeah.
let's move on to something that like actually has some real stakes and drama. Like Miguel at this point knows y'all are together. Like he'll be fine. He'll take it.
That's a
like
funny gag for like one episode, but you can only get so much out of it.
Yeah.
Before it's time to move on.
Pretty much. All right. So there are a couple other things I want to talk about before we get to the ending with the All Valley, which I know all of us are really hyped up on.
Oh man!
But are there any other like characters or moments that y'all really want to touch on before we get to the All Valley?
I'm so over Stingray, y'all. Like, I thought he was like super uncomfy on like multiple levels, and like the fact that he, like you said earlier, Adam, like a linchpin in the plot.
Stingray's hilarious, bro.
Yeah.
Stingray's hilarious.
Stingray's the worst
idiot,
character.
but he's so funny. He's so funny.
But it's also like creepy when you're like, this like grown man is like buying, I don't know, these like underage children alcohol. Okay.
In
Yeah.
any other context, Stingray would be the main villain of this story.
Yeah.
I just want to add to the point real quick before we move on. I think Miguel is the perfect branch. Like he's literally like the Avatar, but for but for the show Cobra Kai. Like he's like the branch. He is the chosen one. He's Anakin for Star Wars. He is the branch between the three worlds. He's Eagle Fang, he's Miyagi-Do, and he's Cobra Kai. And I think he's a perfect character for the show. I just wish he had a little bit more screen time because I think everyone else, like all the new characters, were getting more. And like what Abby said, I really actually didn't think about it until now. Like there wasn't much screen time with him in this season. But that's all I have to say.
Well, to your point about Miguel being the Avatar, that's why he has to go to Mexico, right? He needs to learn how to fight like a gangster now, right? Like he needs 4 different forms of martial arts.
Oh yeah, dude, he's gonna meet up with his dad's gonna be from the cartels, bro.
The cartel, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. It's gonna be imagine it's Danny Trejo, bro. Like, oh god.
Yes.
Orale,
fighting Yes. I can't fucking wait. Everything gets the yellow filter.
Oh my god. Padromi, any other hot takes that you had before we get to the All Valley?
I
know you said you had a lot, so
yeah. I mean, I've kind of addressed a lot of them already. I just, as I think back on the series, like, there are so many things that just continue to happen. Like that one kid from Cobra Kai who always gets his ass whooped continuously. Kyler, always getting his ass whooped, like perpetually, just a punching bag at this point. I think the whole bit with Stingray just felt so unnecessary. I thought the Sans visit to Aisha was kind of weird, and felt unnecessary. Also, I thought the fact that Eagle Fang and Miyagi-Do couldn't just figure it out, and like it ended as soon as it started, and like that was just like depressing. Like I had so much hope for that, and it's just like there's just so many stupid things. Like even the pressures that Anthony were being given to like bully Kenny, like just all of it felt so stupid. Like they ran out of stuff to write about, so they had to write about Anthony, and that whole arc could have easily been removed. It didn't really provide much of anything outside of trying to give Kenny motivation to do well in the All Valley, which it wasn't about the All Valley anyway for Kenny.
Yeah. So
like it just didn't make sense, literally at all. And yeah, I honestly, I'm most disappointed in Johnny and Johnny's behavior throughout the entire season. I thought he had so many opportunities to finally show growth and development. Even with his relationship with Carmen, he showed so much immaturity in that as well. I think in the way he handled Miguel, the way he handled Danny. Granted, he did have a really nice moment with Danny where he kind of was like, dude, like, at what point do you just like give me what I deserve? I thought that was like a really great moment between Danny and Johnny, but this season was a major step back for Johnny when it felt like he was finally getting things right. He still found ways to get things wrong, and Johnny lost a lot of points with me. Not just the All Valley tournament.
Johnny, he kind of suffers from what Miguel, or I feel like he got a lot less screen time, and I feel like Johnny this season, besides a few key moments, he basically becomes a punchline for like jokes. And like, granted, some of them are hilarious. Like, I love that part where he's training to fight Daniel, which is a great fight too. Where they had recreate their fight sort of thing, but like he's walking around like he runs next to this guy at the scooter, just yanks the scooter from him, like throws it on the ground. I was like, Johnny, stop being an asshole.
Wait,
like,
the best Johnny moment was when he was trying to recruit women at the high school, which was
listen, Johnny is that scene is like an arrest waiting to happen, bro. Oh my god. Also,
there's an old green text where it's like, if you guys could make a movie about anything, what would you do? For me, it would be to take a bully out of an 80s movie and throw it into a modern high school to see how he plays off of all of these Zoomer kids. And it's like, that's just what Cobra Kai is. That's why it works so well.
Also, like, can Johnny just walk onto a high school campus whenever he wants? No! Like, what? This dude just shows up whenever he wants. Like, remember there was that one scene where they were like watching the debate team or something like that. Johnny just walks in and he's like, and even becomes like Sensei, how did you get into the school? What are you doing here? Like, hey, we're trying to ditch right now. I was like, what? There were some really funny parts too.
Are there no cameras wherever he's around? How does he not?
Who knows?
Get caught,
man? The other thing that I thought was funny as well, even though I don't like the overall relationship, like and how it develops, but like I like that part where Johnny literally Googles, how do I tell my student that I'm banging his mom? Like on Google, he literally like it's like, dude, like this fucking idiot.
That's such a Johnny thing to happen, though.
Exactly, it's such a Johnny thing to do. Yeah.
What's an Uber?
Yeah. It's like, bruh, this guy.
Yeah.
This guy. All right. Let's get into the All Valley. Mark, I know how much you love this, so why don't you set the scene of how we get to the All Valley, my friend, and kind of where it all leads to? Because there's some cool things, like, they added like the skills and the women competition, actually making it like a fucking karate tournament.
Yeah.
That's neither here nor there, but go ahead, Mark. You set the stage, man.
I mean, who doesn't love a good tournament? Tournament arcs are low balls, Mm-hmm. They're nice and easy. They're guaranteed winners. And I'm going to be real. This one, I thought for a second that this was going to be the worst part of the season.
I did too.
When they had Kelly Clarkson come out.
Carrie Underwood.
Sorry.
The American Idol winner.
American Idol winner
awkward.
There.
So awkward. Easily the worst part of this entire series.
I'm fine with it because it was a montage, but for a moment, I really thought they were going to just build up all this tension, all this character drama, and then the rest of the episode was just going to be a Carrie Underwood cameo.
It was bizarre. It was like,
it was unnecessary.
But can we talk about those blue mats? I mean, talk about the impact to the tournament. That whole scene was so useless.
And then it's like, I enjoyed the structure of it, too, because it's like, you do the... Where it's like you have the Robbie Miguel tournament first.
Mm-hmm.
And like, it's just the way that they structure it, where it's like, okay, like I caught myself like doing the math in my head where it's like, okay, they're down by this many points. So now next up is these two. So they need to beat him here. But then there's still going to be this happening because that's how the story has to happen. So and it's like, it made me get in my own head with the way they structured it.
Right.
To where it played off my own investment to get me more invested in it. And I think it had some twists, it had some turns, it had some character stuff, it had some cool fucking action. It's like it's a Karate Kid story. The natural state of the climax is to be at a tournament. And And yeah, I think this one works.
Yeah,
for obvious reasons.
For sure. And like so one thing I want to say too, I was also worried just like you, Mark, because like I don't know if it was just me and I'm like misremembering, but like when they started just like showing like the intro, you know how like they like set the scene and like, hey, this is like the All Valley. I was like, is it just me or does it seem like this is a really small All Valley? I feel like there's like 5 teams here, sort of thing. Like, like there's the 3 main ones and like 2 nobodies that no one knows about. Even though like on the leaderboard there's clearly like 16. I was like, for an All Valley tournament, this feels really, really small. But that was just something that I noticed. But I agree. Like, as much as I think the first like 8 episodes are really up and down, and I'm talking like high highs and very, very low lows. I really loved everything about this finale. I think the fights were really, really good, and we've talked a lot about how there were a lot of characters who step up to the plate. Your boy Dimitri does. Hawk goes super. Like, there's a whole bunch of really, really cool stuff. So, Padromi, as the Karate Kid fan that you are, the biggest one, you know, you've seen fights all across the series. You've seen tournaments, all Valley tournaments at that, all across the series. How do you feel about this finale and everything that you saw, man?
I really liked what happened during this All Valley tournament. I thought the fights were great. They weren't short. They were long. There was a lot of points being awarded, points being deducted, points not being provided. There was a lot of drama around just even the scoring, which was really awesome to see. You know, you had so many little intricacies. Even the scene between, you know, where Kreese and Terry were kind of fighting over like whether or not to fight dirty or not. You know, like and wanting to win fair, and like that whole bit was amazing to see. And I thought I really enjoyed. Let me rephrase. I have mixed feelings about the gender splitting. You know, separating the guys and the girls. I thought it. I wish they could just compete against each other, personally, because that would have been pretty dope to see like Tori beat the crap out of Dimitri, for example. Like that would have been sick. You know, but you know, I did like, because the fact that they put the 2 different genders forced the introduction of 2 other girls who just really had no other place to be in the series, outside of the fact that they needed more girls to fight to
it was definitely a little
drag
shoehorned
on the girls bracket, right? But I also heavily enjoyed the girl bracket fights, like a lot. I thought they were great. I thought they were really entertaining all around. I was a big fan of it. You know, disappointed to see Terry paying off the refs at the end, of course, but I thought the fights were great. I thought the Dimitri Robbie fight was really, really good. You know, Robbie had his own Super Saiyan moment, as Mark's been alluding to, where he kind of just like was like, yeah, why am I letting this guy kind of beat on me? Like, I'm just gonna destroy him now in a very aggressive manner. You know, I thought that was pretty cool. And obviously Hawk throughout this entire tournament just absolutely turned the fuck up. And let me tell you, your boy don't need hair to fly, because that man was soaring. Like, it was, I mean, I remember seeing the chat and Mark just popping off about it, and I was so hyped for this moment, and it delivered. Just seeing the growth, the evolution, the determination, like putting in the work.
Yo, he flexed that tat with confidence, bro. Ooh. He flexed that tat, bro.
You heard that eagle scream, bro.
Whenever he shows off the tattoo and they pipe in the fucking bird noise, I lose it. I lose my mind every time that happens. It's so bad. I love it.
Mark, that reminds me of like an intro, like before we start the fights in Mortal Kombat, like how there's always like a mini slide with the characters, dude. Love it.
Yeah. There's a lot to love in this All Valley tournament. So much of what we talked about, right, is about there's so many different dramatic through lines throughout this season, and as much as we think that some of them are good and some of them are bad, like we've discussed, all of them culminate in this tournament, which is something that is really, really hard to do, I think, and I think they pulled it off very well. But Andrew and Abby, we've talked a lot. Your thoughts on the All Valley? Anything you want to call out that really stuck out to you?
No major call. Okay, I will say this: the whole Miguel thing. It was right before the last episode when he's like in the air and he's having flashbacks of his whole journey up to where he's gotten, like been in the hospital, learning from Johnny, and then he's just like falls flat on the floor and he's like Sensei.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my gosh, this is cringy. This is just cringy. Come on, are you serious? Like, I wanted to see a badass fight with Miguel. I think Miguel just leaving mid tournament was kind of like a cop out. I thought that kind of sucked. The Hawks fight was badass. Loved it. I love Robbie bitch slapping the hell out of Kenny. That was awesome. That was cool. Overall, loved it. It was good. I liked seeing Sam lose as well.
Oh God. Never change, Andrew. Never change.
No, never will.
How about you, Abby?
I have to say that I do think it makes sense to have a women's tournament because that's how sports work in the real world, right? And not in 80s maybe was that I was in women's lacrosse and there was men's lacrosse. Like we didn't just play lacrosse because then I would be playing football and then I would fail because I'd get a concussion. So I thought that made sense logically. Like I get, because I also understand the feedback of like we have these two kind of shoehorned in, not very well thought out female characters just thrust in. Yeah, that was not good.
Yeah.
But I thought allowing two winners also made sense to me, right? Where you'd be like, oh, we have the women's champion and the men's champion. It just makes sense. It's what sports is. And I have to, because I've talked about this, that I was a fight captain before. I know stage choreography. This was probably like, I would say at least a month's worth of rehearsal for those final fights. And especially I have to call out the Tori Sam fight. They somehow kept getting more dynamic in every single round.
Completely agree.
Right?
They kept on upping the ante.
I give this second place after that one really great, amazing cafeteria fight scene. I think this is second. The choreography, I agree with you, Abby. That was such great choreography. I enjoyed it. I loved it. It wasn't cheesy. It wasn't corny. It felt like a real tournament.
They put in a lot of work.
And that's how you know that the fight choreographers are good, but also that they know the characters, right? Because you could see Sam's character through her fighting. And that's when you know, because fighting, right, as a character, as an actor, when they fight, you're supposed to, you fight like your character, right? And you have reasons why you fight. And so you can tell that they tracked that in how they move. Because every movement, right, should be thought out as your character. And so I could see that. I would say in all of these fights this season the most. So it was really awesome to see. Just, it's beautiful, right? Like, well done choreography is beautiful to watch. And this was. Like, it really is. It's badass and pretty.
Yeah, it was all really good. And I have to say, too, like, it just feels good to see both Tori and Hawk win, right? The people who are not traditionally thought of as the protagonists, right? They're not the Miguel. They're not Robbie. They're not Sam. But seeing them both and the way they celebrated, like, you can't help but feel just so happy for them. Even though, obviously, Tori's win was kind of tainted in a certain way. But it still feels good to see them perform to that high level and come out on top. Like, as those characters, like, I felt really happy for them. I really did. And seeing them finally achieve something that they've always wanted, right? You know, Vegeta finally got the trophy, and Tori, she was finally able to achieve something despite all the bullshit going on in her life. And I'm sure that was something that was very, very meaningful inside as well, that she could still be successful and put a lot of work and make something really, really big happen. So I thought it was really, really good. But it's not just all about the All Valley, right? This has like 5 different endings. This shit has Lord of the Rings Return of the King for how many different endings there are here. So I'm just gonna rattle them off, and y'all are happy to can say your thoughts. One, we see that Terry has bribed all the refs. Tori sees this, right? And then not only has Terry bribed the refs, he goes to celebrate with Kreese, says that they're gonna start franchising Cobra Kai, but then this motherfucker frames Kreese, says that Kreese beat the fuck out of Stingray just so that Stingray can get back into Cobra Kai. And then Kreese gets his ass arrested, okay? And so now Terry's in charge of Cobra Kai. And like Padromi said, the master manipulator that he is, this was his grand plan. On top of that, Miguel disappears. He's going to Mexico to find his dad, Danny Trejo, apparently.
That was a big what the fuck moment. By the way.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And then also at the same time, we see, we also see that Daniel is not only going over Miyagi, he's at Miyagi's grave and saying about how much he failed him, but he's also saying, I'm going to defeat Cobra Kai once and for all, even though I already said I'm going to stop teaching Miyagi-Do by the oath that I had. And Chosen's right here behind me from Okinawa. Yeah, sort of thing. And now we're really going to go at it. And on top of all that, too, in a very, very sweet moment, I think, Robbie, he goes to the Cobra Kai dojo and he talks to Johnny and he kind of breaks down because of what he saw in Kenny and the monster that he unleashed. And he finally says, like, Dad, I need your help. And they kind of reconcile. So there's a lot to unpack here in terms of all the different endings. But I guess, like, just to start off with, the Terry reveal. How did y'all feel? Because that shit blew me the fuck away.
I was shocked. I was shocked. It caught me off guard. It brought relevancy to Stingray, and it was just like really just like holy shit moment. Yeah, that I didn't see that coming a mile away. I just didn't. Not at all.
Yeah, I didn't see it at all. Mark or Andrew or Abby, did you all see it coming?
I sensed something was going on with Terry and Kreese. I didn't know what it was, but when it happened, I was like, wow, I did not see that happening. I'm very curious as to what's going to happen in the next season.
Oh, yeah.
Here's my prediction, all right? My official take, because this show has nobody in the writer's room to say, no, that's stupid. Why would that happen? Kreese is going to go to prison, and he's going to meet Kenny's brother, who is aged out of juvie, and they're going to form a dark alliance.
What a five-head thought. Holy crap, Mark. That is... oh, my God.
Oh, my God.
I legit thought that Terry, like, poisoned Kreese, though, when they had those drinks.
I had that thought, too.
I was ready for Kreese to die, but no, he's just going to jail.
And then I saw those the flashing lights from the cops, and I was like, oh, my gosh, he just killed Kreese. I thought that was like the ambulance about to pick him up and scoop him away. But then I was like, okay, that's where they're going with it. I legit thought he was going to get poisoned, though.
Yeah, no, same. But the reveal was so much sweeter than I could have possibly imagined. He framed him for almost murdering Stingray.
Yeah. To be honest with you,
character.
If he went the route of killing Kreese, that would have been fucking badass.
If he killed Stingray and framed Kreese not for assault but for murder.
Oh, man.
That would have been so awesome.
Abby, how about you? How'd you feel about this reveal?
It made sense. Like I said, I feel like we all knew Terry wanted everything. He wanted the whole pie from the very beginning. So it tracked. And I also even think they had a flashback this season, right? Because we rarely saw Nam this season, but I think we saw it like twice. And I feel like there's just that like disgruntled energy towards him, towards what happened over there. So I think that man can hold a grudge. So no, I was not shocked.
It took me by surprise, Abby. This is why you actually know what you're talking about. You actually know what's going on when all this stuff happens. I know, Abby, that you said you were a really big fan though of Miguel leaving for Mexico for his father. So why don't you talk about that? Since
I think it made sense.
Yeah,
right. I love Miguel, but like this man has been a chess piece from two boomers. Is people who grew up in the 80s, are they boomers? No, they're not. I don't. Whatever. Whoever they are, these old men have been fighting for Miguel, and I think he was over it. He was done. And I respect it. And he just needed to get out. And it's like finding his biological father. And that to me makes sense. Traveling as an underage child to another country, is that wise? Probably not, no. But I think it's also, worth it to honor, kind of his Mexican identity too, just to explore that. I think is super valid. So I'm curious kind of to see if he comes back, like just knowing more and kind of what happens there.
For sure. how did the rest of you feel about this whole Mexican reveal? Besides the fact that apparently his father will be Danny Trejo and that he'll learn a fourth karate style.
I'm here for it.
And
I think it makes sense because this continues Miguel's journey to finding a father. And what more appropriate father than his actual biological father? I think it's it's an interesting concept when you don't for it, like if you're someone who doesn't have a father who didn't have a father figure in your life during those critical moments, like you gotta feel for the kid because he keeps searching
Mhm.
and he looks for it in Johnny. He looks for it in Danny. He wants to understand why his father just left and why all these people in his life continue to let him down when he gives his entire self to each of these people all the time. Um, I thought the take that Miguel's father doesn't know that he's a father was the real what the fuck in all of it.
Mhm.
Because like that interaction is going to be interesting. Because how on earth does Miguel know where to find his father? I don't know if we knew or understand how he's going to do it.
Right.
But I, hey man, good for Miguel. I know so many people who are so afraid to do something like that, and at 16 years old, he finds himself in a situation where he's like, I don't know where else to go at this point. It's gonna be interesting.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Like, there's a lot of stuff they really set up that, but grudgingly, I'm like, all right, it's like that scene in Rick and Morty. You son of a bitch, I'm in for season 5. Mark and Andrew, anything else you guys want to say for these other things that showed up at this ending here to drag us into season 5?
It looks like it has some potential.
Mhm.
I know last time we were all saying like, all right, this has got like 1 or 2 more seasons in it, wrap it up. But I think there is a noticeable and concerted effort to try and do different things with the show, and some of it works, some of it doesn't. But the effort is definitely there. They do not want this to just be like every 2 or 3 seasons we have another tournament,
Did you
and
just
then
say 2
Johnny.
more seasons, Mark?
That's what my feelings were like last
Holy shit!
season.
I don't think I
Was
can.
this
I don't think I
this
can do
maybe
it.
has another one in the tank? Where is it going to go after we go back to the All Valley again?
Oh my
And now it's
gosh!
like, okay, well, Kreese is in prison, Johnny's in Mexico. Danny is getting angry. Uh,
Holy shit!
some character, Tori has a redemption arc lined up. Kreese might have a redemption arc lined up. They're gonna. I've heard a rumor that they're bringing in uh, one of the other characters from Karate Kid 3 is the big rumor for the next season,
Oh yeah, yeah.
Wow!
and
Wow!
it's like this is not just going to be one of those shows where you come back to where it goes on forever and you come back to the most recent season and it's Danny and Johnny are having a disagreement again. Like they're trying to do some different things, and whether or not it works out is still remains to be seen. But I'd say they seem to at least be aware
Yeah.
that this shit can get old very, very
Oh
quickly and
yeah.
are trying to leverage the show's popularity
Yep.
against ways to give it a little bit more longevity.
Right. Go
All
ahead,
right.
Andrew.
I would say wrap this up. Make it a movie, 2-hour movie, and then Netflix. If you still want to continue on this hype train, make a prequel for Mr. Miyagi. Hire Daniel Day Kim to play young Mr. Miyagi. Make that a show. I'm ready. I'm ready to move on from these characters. I'm ready. Like I love the show. Seasons 1 and 2 were kick ass. Season 3 was like, all right, great. Season 4, I'm like, wrap it up. I didn't even know there was a season 5 coming out. I'm until like the last episode of season 4. I'm done with the show. Just end it already. End it.
I get you, man. I
It
really
feels like
do.
we're writing those essays and we're just like trying to fit in those last 500 words, and we're
Yeah.
like and but or so, and we're just fitting in all those words, just trying to get it over with.
Yeah, they're in some ways they're spinning their wheels, and you could tell they're trying, like Mark said. But like, I'm also being like, okay, let's just let's just be done. But Abby, one thing I did want to touch on, because I think that you said this, that Robbie, for you felt like there was that last scene at the end where it did do a little bit for you. So how did you feel about the whole thing where Robbie goes to Johnny, and they do reconcile?
I thought it was sweet, and I think what we said earlier about Robbie is strongest when he's with Johnny.
Yes.
And I think the opportunity of that the next season will be sweet without Juvie, without evil revenge like getting in the way. You know, like what does it mean to be a father and what does it mean to be a son in that
Yes.
relationship?
Mm.
And that's what I'm most interested in for them. But Robbie, I mean, obviously made the choice to not follow the dark side. Like that was the point, I feel like, of this Owl Valley, was that he's not gonna go on that path. So we need to see the after effect of that.
I agree, and it was one of the rare moments for both Johnny and Robbie this season to actually like show their acting chops. Because in
Yes.
previous seasons, like I remember, like the scene that always sticks out to me for Johnny is when he had dinner with Miguel and he told him about Johnny's birth, or excuse me, Robbie's birth. I was like, wow, this is great. Like, what's his name? The actor who plays Johnny, something Zebka, William Zabka, was acting his ass off. And I feel like in this scene with Robbie in particular, Robbie, the actor who was playing him as well, Tanner Buchanan, actually was really putting a lot of effort in. Like you could tell, like this is a kid who's like really just can't take it anymore, sort of thing. And as much as I don't like Robbie that much, I was like, okay, Robbie, like you earned some respect and some sympathy here for sure. Did all of you feel the same way, or all of you still like, man, I don't really care about Robbie?
Like I said before, I think I'm starting to care for him a little bit more. Definitely have a little bit more sympathy towards him than the previous seasons.
Right.
He's not as boring as he used to be, that's for sure. And I like he had a little bit of a redemption at the end, which I think it made his character a little bit more, a little bit more of a growth in the positive direction.
For sure. Mark or Padromi, anything else you want to add about Robbie?
I'm intrigued to see where he goes next season. If they give him something a little meatier to deal with than just like the teen drama that he's been subsisting on so far.
Yeah, I agree.
I just hope that they stop trying to make Robbie the sexy guy in the show and just let him be another character.
And I told y'all though, didn't I tell y'all that this is the only show that my entire family watches? So I feel like they guess for my age group, they're like, "Wow, we need a heartthrob." All right, Robbie, you're up. And I'm like, I don't like, sure, like I guess.
Yeah, these guys were ripping off their robes like they're from Mortal Kombat. I'm like, yo, you guys are in high school. Like, chill, bro. Chill.
Netflix. How many abs do you got?
It's Mark. It's like what you said. Like this is the show that hits all the demographics, sort of
It
thing.
does.
All of them.
Yeah, like every single one. All right, squad. I think it's time we wrap this up. Is there anything else y'all want to say before we do our closing thoughts and ratings?
We
Anyone?
didn't mention Chosen at all, did we?
Chosen. Oh yes, Chosen. How'd y'all feel about? I'll be honest. Like I just don't even care at this point. I'm just like, come on, man. Like I also
unnecessary.
I liked it.
Unnecessary.
I
It's like, oh, Miyagi-Do has to close. Okay, great. I'm gonna have Chosen come in and teach Miyagi-Do because I can't teach Miyagi-Do. It's a loophole.
Like, how is this even, like, how do you in one breath be like, oh, I'm so sorry, Mr. Miyagi, I failed you. I failed to stop Cobra Kai and I dishonored Miyagi-Do. All right, Chosen, come here. Let's actually do it for real. It's like, what?
Yeah.
What? Where does that even come from?
It's Mortal Kombat's secret, like, life weapon is just to throw Chosen at the very end.
Yeah, and I also can't tell if, like, they're trying to set up Chosen almost as, like, how Kreese brought in Terry, and that Chosen secretly being like a crazy maniac
too. It didn't have the same effect.
Yeah, so I don't know, because Chosen seems hella chill now. Like, so I don't know. Who knows? But it's just like at this point, I'm with Andrew. Like, let's just get it over with. Like, come on, let's get to the end. Let's get to the end. Yeah. Anything else you guys want to discuss before we get to our final ratings and closing thoughts?
I'm good. I'm ready.
All right. Well, Mark, we'll start off with you. Final thoughts and closing ratings.
I mean, I think we've summed it up. It's a season of high peaks, low valleys. I'd call it a mixed bag, but by the end of it, you know what? If there's one thing this show knows how to do, it's how to make a really hype finale. There was some stuff that I wasn't a fan of. There was some stuff that I really liked. I think they're really, really trying to make this show more than just, something that's just going to spin its wheels and lose interest. They're trying really hard to keep this in the on the public consciousness. And I mean, we haven't hit the point yet where I say, I think I'm done with this. So, sure, I'm around for another season. Let's let it ride. I don't think this is my favorite season by far, but it has a lot of stuff that I like in it.
Mm-hmm.
If you're with it this far, I doubt you'll hate it enough to drop the show.
Okay, well, what would you give it as a rating?
Rating. I mean, if we did the spill scale, averaged out, I'd probably call it like a matinee.
Yeah.
It's a fine way to spend an afternoon if you just want to blow through all of it.
Mm-hmm.
Something like the last 2 episodes, I'd say, are like great examples of the show at its high point.
Yeah.
Like when the show is really good, this is what it can accomplish.
Mm-hmm.
But overall, it's fine. It's good. There are a few select moments that are awesome, but on the whole, this is an okay season.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. All right, Andrew. How about you?
Oh, well, I am ready to get this over with. I'm ready to get the show over with. A lot of filler episodes, I feel. Maybe it's just personal or maybe it's just my own opinion. I feel like there was a lot of forgettable episodes, and I didn't really think that they knew like how to continue the script. They were just like, oh, we just got to cut off the Hawk's hair to just have an episode. We just got to do something to keep this show going. I'm ready for a Mr. Miyagi prequel. Hire Daniel Day Kim. He'd be excellent for it. Get the show over with. Definitely the worst of all the seasons so far. I give it a 5 out of 10.
Ooh. Okay. All right, Andrew laying down the law over here. Okay. Padromi, how about you? You had a lot of hot takes that you shared during this review, so give the people your final rating, closing thoughts.
Yeah, honestly, I felt very similar to Mark. I felt like so much of the season was just kind of meh. The last 2 episodes really saved the season and my interest for this show. Shockingly rather, I actually think this is an improvement on season 3. Because I hated season 3 so much.
Right.
But is it a dramatic improvement? Absolutely not. Therefore, 6.5 out of 10.
Okay. All right. 6.5 out of 10. I respect it. At least the small steps up the mountain.
Up from my 6 from last season, we're at 6.5. Just because the All Valley was just lit.
Half points. Listen, the All Valley definitely elevates things to another level. And Abby, how about yourself?
Yeah, I think we've talked about this before, Adam, where it's like not everything has to be like high cinema, right? There's popcorn flicks that we can enjoy and love, and this definitely falls into the popcorn flick category. I don't expect great performances. I just want comprehensible storylines. So this probably last season I gave like a B plus. This is probably a B because it really did sometimes. I was like, oh, okay. But I do agree the ending kind of saved it for me. I say that that the demographics that it hits is I think why Netflix is not easy to give it up, right? Because it hits me, it hits my younger brother, and it hits my parents who are both born in the 60s. Do you know what I mean? And so that kind of like wide swath of getting all of us in front of our TV and being happy to watch something is very rare. And I think is why the show is going to keep going even when it probably shouldn't.
Yeah. No, I'm right there with you. And I think we all kind of share the same sentiment. This season for me was just, some of it is great. A lot of it is just really boring. I despise the soap opera like drama of it, of just like people not being able to talk to each other and just like, I can't believe you would do that. We're like, I saw Miguel and Daniel talking to each other. I can't talk to them both. I'm just gonna go be depressed in the corner. Like I despise this drama of people just not talking to each other like adults. I hate it. But at the same time, we've talked a lot about the really good stuff in it. We've talked about Terry Silver and the dynamic that he brings to this show. He's a madman, but he's great. At the same time, Hawk, this motherfucker leveled the fuck up. He powered up at All Valley. Okay, he went Super Saiyan. It was great. So there's a lot to love, but I really do think that the All Valley saves it for me. Like, if I'm honest, like up until the All Valley, this was a rental for me. Like I was really kind of bored for some of it. The Anthony stuff and the Kenny stuff. Oh my god, like Jesus, like guys, like you really gotta improve on that if you want to make that worthwhile. Like if that's what you can come up with in order to make it to 10 episodes, it's like don't even bother getting to 10 episodes. I'd much rather have like 6 or 7 episodes that are really good than to have 10 episodes and some of them are bad, sort of thing. But yeah, I give it a matinee overall. I agree with Andrew. Like I do not care for this to go like even more than 5 seasons. If it goes to 6 or 7, it's just like, oh my god, what do we even do now? Like I said before, I'm expecting Jaden Smith to pop in at this point, like and Jackie Chan. Like,
no,
my god, I don't know what else you can do in this show. But hey, they surprised me too. I thought that they couldn't do anything more than season 4, but then that son of a bitch, they got me back in for season 5. So, yeah, I give it a matinee. But well, that kind of concludes the review. Really appreciate everyone's time kind of coming on here. But of course, as we leave, and all of you have an opportunity to give a shout out. Words you want to say to the people. Of course, we're going to start off with you, Mark. Anything you want to say to the people? How can they follow you? All that sort of great stuff.
Yeah, nothing much. Yeah, if you want to see some videos I've made, check out Creature Feature on YouTube with 2 E's for both. But yeah, that's about all my stuff.
Okay, yeah, and that'll be linked in the description, of course. And Andrew, how about you? Any shout outs you want to give? Words you want to say to the people? How can they follow you?
Always a pleasure to be on here. Thank you, Adam, once again. Love being on this podcast. Abby, Padromi, Mark, Adam, all great. I had a great time talking with you guys about this show. I hope we only have one more podcast for this show. I'm ready for this to end. Shout out to Austin and Alex. Had a great time with you the other day. And I will see everybody in 21 weeks as of next week.
Heck yeah, man. Best of luck on your adventure. You're going to kill it like Abby and I were saying before, man. You got nothing to worry about. And Padromi, anything you want to say to the people? Shout outs. How can they follow you?
Yes, at Padromi is where you can find me.
That's where you can see the tattoo, by the way. Don't forget.
Yeah. Nothing else really. It's a pleasure, finally connecting with all of you. And I can't wait, but I can wait till the next time. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, thanks a lot for having me.
Yeah, as always, man. Really a big pleasure to have you. Such a legendary figure in the community, and appreciate you going out of your way while you're on vacation as well. And finally, Abby, closing thoughts. Shout outs you want to give. Words you want to say to people. How can they follow you? I heard you got something in the works that you might want to share, so I'm sure you want to make sure that people can follow you for that.
Yeah, so I'm Abby, ABBY_Sherlock on all social media platforms. Thank you so much, Adam, and for y'all for having me here tonight. I know it's late on the East Coast. I really appreciate it. Yeah, my video game is coming out, which is my MFA thesis at USC in April. So if you follow along, that will be coming out soon. So yeah.
Ooh, shit. I'll be on the lookout for that. We'll definitely have to blast that out once it comes out. But again, Abby, thank you so much. All of you, thank you so much for coming on. Really appreciate it. Always a pleasure to have you all on. And to everyone who's going to be listening to this or watching this review, of course, thank you so much. You could be doing anything else with your time, but you choose to be here with us as we talk about Cobra Kai Season 4 of all things, and we're always appreciative of that. Please like and subscribe and share. Tell all your friends. That'd be great, even though that's not really how we do this, but still always really, really appreciated. Of course, if you want to follow me, you can follow me on Twitter at Adam_bomb. Of course, you can also follow your boy on Letterboxd, the gospel Letterboxd over here. You can follow me on there as well. Link in the description. I'll have Abby's in there too, as well. So make sure that you. This might as well be a Letterboxd podcast at this point. Yeah, so please follow me there. Big shout outs to just all the good people out there. Big shout outs to the fact that we're all trying to get through it. So please take care of yourselves. Now that we're going to be going through the spring, I'm sure people are going to be a lot more active. So just take care of yourselves, guys. Be safe. World is kind of crazy at the moment, but hope that you and yours are all doing really, really well. There's going to be another review coming up soon. It's probably going to be Book of Boba Fett, or it's going to be Peacemaker. That's the other show that I still have to watch, but be on the lookout for that. But until then, take care of yourselves and peace.